to CRL West. I'm Rich Slayton.
And I'm Andrew Guy, and I could not be more excited for this season to kick off.
We're going to be your casters in English, but there are a lot of languages here in Southern California, and it's getting really crowded. Okay, come on, let's spread out. It's too tight, too tight. Let's spread out a little bit. Ah, that's a whole lot better. This is CRL West. Let's go! Hello and welcome to Clash Royale League Season 2 here in the West. We are at the beautiful OGN Arena in sunny Southern California. I'm Rich Slayton, joining me is Andrew Guy. We have 12 of the best teams in the world here to prove who can be best in the West.
Rich, I am so excited to be back to see you, to see this stage, and of course to see you, beautiful people. I cannot wait to see what this season is going to bring and all the new players.
And to kick things off, we have a beautiful opening ceremony. Let's check it out. Okay, that was different than I expected.
Efficient.
Yeah, you know, opening ceremony, make it snappy. We don't need pyrotechnics or a big drum or anything like that. Let's just go ahead and get to the action. And speaking of the action, we have a new match format this season. Andrew, walk us through it.
Yes, I love the new format. We're going to start off with 2v2 as normal, the bread and butter of teamwork that is Clash Royale. After that, we'll be following it with King of the Hill, such a popular set, which means 1v1 is the final set, the tie-breaking set, where the 1v1 Titans will be taking it home for their team.
And at the end of this spring split, the top 3 seat teams will be heading to Xi'an, China for the World Cyber Games, a chance to represent the West to prove they are the best up against the China and Asia regions. And you can follow the action the entire way through right here where you're watching. We'll be here every Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And on the weekends, 10 a.m. on the West Coast, and on the right-hand side of the country, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for you to join us every single week 3 times.
And we have a very, very exciting day 1 ahead of us for CRL West. It starts off with the Lat AM rivalry, Cream Esports against Pain Gaming, Rich.
And then next up after that, we have Tribe Gaming with a fairly similar roster from Season 1 up against Dignitas, the pretty strong underdogs this season.
Yes, and lastly, Team Queso, the EU champions, ready to make their CRL West debut, going up against a fresh Fnatic team. I cannot wait to get into the action. And here we go, making their way to the arena, Rich. The energy in the room is electric. This is the very first game, set, and match of CRL West, and I can only imagine what is going through these players' heads right now.
Some returning players, some making their debuts. Over on the side of Cream, they don't have everyone here quite yet, but they do have some absolute stars, of course, in Flash and Jose Brian. Rounding out today, Diego E and Lince. Very curious with so much talent to see how they choose to match those players up for 2v2, 1v1, and of course, King of the Hill.
Yes, and on the other side of them, their opponents, Pain, coming out today with Surgical, TS, Wen, Carnage, and Ren and Kava. One of the teams that I am most excited to see here at CRL West, Rich. I cannot wait to see what they're going to do.
Pain underperformed last season, but it seems like they have the magic for this one. And of course, with Wen and Carnage, 2 of the best ISPO players on the planet, they might benefit heavily from the way this league is built this season. The very first time this season, we head into the arena, and kicking things off, 2 fantastic squads and some great players here. Flash, Jose Brand, Ren and Kava, and Surge TS.
You know, last year 2v2 was one of the question marks about competitive gameplay. You got to imagine every single team out there doubled down on the training. Let's see what they did in the offseason. Hopping into game number 1, set number 1, season 2.
Pain, top of your screen, and Cream at the bottom, opening up with the Dark Prince. Jose Brand, one of the best players in Latin America, making his debut in CRL this season. A fantastically talented kid. And we're talking to Koji and Manu a whole bunch. They could not be higher on their expectations with Jose Brand.
Yeah, like I said many times in the intro, I'm so excited to see what these teams have to bring to the table. A very great heads-up lightning early on from Cream. A couple shots in by that Royal Giant from Pain as a response, and that Baby Dragon will be belching on that tower.
One shot does not get another Pain Gaming underperformed a little bit last season, made some changes, of course, adding Ren and Kava to the squad coming over from Giants from last season. So hopefully they feel a little bit more well-rounded this time around. And of course, the addition of Carnage from Nova, who I expect that we'll see when we get into King of the Hill. A world champion. Some people question if it's a paper championship. He has a chance to prove that that's not the case here against Cream Esports to start things off.
Yeah, spending most of the time on the bench last season, now has a moment to prove himself, make a name for himself, and a great double lightning coming in. Oh, excuse me, lightning on either side. One defensive, one offensive. I was going to say, that is quite the commitment.
So here we are passing the midway point of regulation time, and it's a Royal Giant at the bridge, picked up by the bomb tower here, and will it get through? Yes, it does. So we'll see a couple of shots raged up from that Royal Giant,
Wow.
and that is a lot of damage here as we move towards double elixir time.
The lumberjack rage timing that has been accompanying these Royal Giants has been so well executed by Pain. You see all those shots coming in, and that's just because of that rage, Rich.
So things pretty even as we move into our final minute of regulation. Cream a little bit behind, but not by much. And you see, of course, pushing the Royal Giant into the same lane as that Lava Hound, hoping that some of those support troops also play defense as well.
Bomb tower out of cycle, a heads up lumberjack, an aggressive Royal Giant to get 2 more shots in on that tower. Now is the moment that Cream needs to break through and get their damage in.
Miner to the back, and a nice tornado to activate King Tower. That'll help a lot when those miners keep coming in. Poison down here on the tower as well. Ice Wiz trying to stop everything it can, but that's going to be a lot of damage here on the right-hand lane.
Wow, we are fairly even. A very, very nice King Tower activation that's going to help down the road, but they did take quite a bit of damage using the spell elixir just to activate.
Bomb tower picks up Royal Giant aggro, nothing on tower. We are moving into sudden death overtime, and right now looks like Cream could be able to steal this tower away.
That's right. Get that lightning in and that's game. Get the lightning in and it's over. Lightning zap, whatever. Get a spell down, take the game. Come on, boys.
Royal Giant gets one shot, 2 shots, lightning in, and there you go. Pain takes the first game of CRL West.
That tower was just sitting there waiting to get picked up, but not in time. Wow.
So here we go, game number 2 underway. Pain still top of your screen. Cream at the bottom.
A lot of Royal Giants.
Lot of Royal Giants, and Ren and Kava proving already to be a valuable addition to this Pain squad. And you see again, Cream choosing to go Lava Hound once more.
And 2 lumberjacks down the left-hand lane with the guards, so you know there's another Royal Giant in play. Inferno Tower just taking that Lava Hound out, making easy work out of it. There's the zap.
There's the zap. And nothing behind that double lumberjack play on that side. So you gotta wonder if that was maybe made an error or if they intended something different, not really predicting what was gonna happen on the right-hand lane.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe there was a slight miscommunication dropping both lumberjacks, and said maybe one of them could have dropped a Royal Giant. Saving the Inferno Tower to play defense was really all they needed to stop that push.
Miner to tower getting some chip damage, and Lava Hound not going to quite get close, and it should be easy to clean up most of those puffs. And here we go, RG Lumberjack left-hand lane.
Yeah, there's the synergy they're looking for. Lumberjack goes down, RG gets 1, 2, 3 shots in. There we go.
And that's a lot of early damage here, down to 1681 on the left-hand side. And Cream trying to do some work on their own on the left, but I don't know if we're going to get much value out of that Mega Minion here. Nicely picked up with the Cycled Ice Spear.
Yeah, those, if you can play efficient defense with those 1 elixir cards, Skeletons, Ice Spirit, or 2 elixir cards, it's just such a great elixir trade.
And looks like Pain just has a rhythm. We're going to go Lumberjack, Royal Giant very aggressively over and over. And Bomb Tower should be down here in a moment. We're going to get at least 1 Royal Giant shot. Not going to get a second, though. And now we have a pretty big push coming down left-hand side.
Yeah, Cream switching up their strategy, recognizing that, okay, if you guys are going to keep pushing into the left-hand lane, I'll meet you with my Lava Hound. That way I can play defense, stop the Royal Giant, and then in turn create a counter push. That Miner activating King Tower once again. Great defense from Pain.
And that's the second time they've played Miner to the back for an easy King Tower activation, so you gotta wonder if they're just not concerned about it.
Yeah, a really frustrating rotation here for Cream. It seems like every time they look up is another Lumberjack Royal Giant coming in. They don't have enough time and enough elixir to get back to their bomb tower. That tower at 581 HP is just a couple lightnings away, Rich.
Although that's a huge lightning, and the Dark Prince still in pretty good health now. Miner to the back, a lot of damage coming on the left-hand side. This could be a massive shift in momentum here in the waning 30 seconds.
A very, very nice fireball coming from Pain. Now, Pain just needs to sit back, get a couple spells, or excuse me, sit back, get that Royal Giant in once again. Bomb Tower picks it up.
Bomb Tower picks it up. Royal Giant, with that help from Lumberjack, not going to make it all the way to tower. Lumberjack so devastating to a Royal Giant. Here we go. And now it's Cream's turn, trying to return the favor down to 134.
Yep,
Fireball's in.
Fireball.
That's going to be it.
I was going to say, there's got to be a lightning, most likely in that last card. And we got to see the spell cycle coming. Great, great play from Pain.
And here we go for King of the Hill. And of course, a nice open here for Pain Gaming. Cream hoping to get one back here in this set, leading off with their young star, Jose Brian.
Yeah, Jose Brian coming out first, followed up by Diego E and Wen from Pain Gaming.
They have Carnage and Wen, but first up, it's Surge TS up against Jose Brian.
And the Furnace, the ever-popular Furnace, played early on by Jose Brian, and a very high lightning coming in from Surge TS to allow that Baby Dragon to get on that tower. It's plays like that that separate the amateurs from the pros, Rich. It's an efficient use of elixir to get just a couple belches in. That could be the deciding factor later on.
Very well could be, especially in King of the Hill, where it's always lowest single tower format. So we will see, and look at that. It's a P.E.K.K.A in the back in response to the Musketeers.
So Surge clearly sees something. He knows he can't be punished too intensely by playing that early on, and that's why. It's because he puts him on Graveyard and Ram Rider in the opposite lane. Here we go.
And nice pickup here, though. You got to wonder if there was a bit of baiting playing going on there to put that Ram Rider directly into the Barbarian.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough bit of defense for Surge to play. Lumberjack comes in doing a decent amount of work. Those two barbs will connect and get a good amount of damage in, but there's a lot going down the right-hand lane.
So Jose Brian out to a very early lead. Nice kite here of that remaining P.E.K.K.A. And here we are past the midway point, and the young star has done damage on both sides.
I mean, we're looking at a 9 elixir for 5 trade. A really, really great heads-up defense from Jose Brian, keeping him in the lead in elixir and in damage. I'm a little surprised at the early P.E.K.K.A in the back, honestly, Rich.
Yeah, a little surprised as well, and obviously it did not pay off the way that maybe Surge had imagined, had planned beforehand. Look, we still have plenty of Clash Royale left to be played in this particular game, but you're behind against a guy who can do a lot of damage in a very short amount of time right now with this Graveyard.
And once again, knowing that we're going into double elixir, I can imagine that this is going to be a very, very good Graveyard in the sense of just creating a lot of defense on the right-hand side, and it should be very easy for Jose to clean up, and then he could probably just send a Ram Rider down the left or the right, depending on how Surge defends.
So there we have it. Surge now putting together a pretty healthy push on that right-hand lane. And there now you see the Ram Rider not getting picked up by the Furnace. That's going to be a connection there on the left-hand lane.
Wow, very, very nice play from Surge there. Knowing that Jose had to stop that P.E.K.K.A. No one wants that Mama P.E.K.K.A to get even one swing on the tower.
And Jose Brian just choosing to eat all the damage there. And I've seen this from him before, playing in some of his regional tournaments down the Latin American region. He is willing to take damage on a tower, knowing he can return in kind.
And it paid off. There's 12 seconds left, and he's spell cycle range away. You get the poison in, you get the snowball in, and that is game, set, and match. Well, not match yet.
Game and set has to defend against this Ram Rider. Snowball in, puts the Furnace down, so he's in good place. You see the flex there. Jose Brian making his debut in style here in King of the Hill, taking out Surge TS to start things off.
And just eating a few of those Lumberjacks hits to add insult to injury, Rich.
I mean, he has been playing so well throughout his short career and doing fantastic here to start things off.
Yep, so coming up next is Carnage. Rich, I'm going to say it right now. I'm going to ask the same question that everyone else is out there. Is Carnage going to be playing Icepo?
I mean, he is one of the best, if not the best in the world at that deck, and it's been seen time and time again. And he believes this format benefits him with this deck, so we'll see what he does here against Jose Brian in Game 2 of King of the Hill.
And you kept mentioning the confidence behind Jose Brian, just taking the damage, knowing I'm fine, I'm cool, I eat 800 damage on my left tower because I'm about to take the right tower and take the game.
The young man is absolutely fearless. I watched him play in the Teton Cup where he ran through, if I remember correctly, it was in 4 consecutive matches. It was like Luke Dubs, Surge TS, Codigo. It was just a who's who of Latin America, and he did it over and over again. He was willing to take significant damage opposite lane and not worry about that, knowing he could get back in the game late.
And now we have Carnage playing a P.E.K.K.A. up high and Jose Brian playing the Ram Rider in the left-hand lane again.
So Jose Brian switching things up from the graveyard to copy what his opponent did last game. Maybe a little bit of a psychological BM going with the Ram Rider deck. And here we go with a pretty standard P.E.K.K.A. Ewiz bridge spam from Carnage.
And a very nice kite with that barb. Look at that. The bar barrel pulls the P.E.K.K.A. all the way across. And even Carnage is recognizing that that was quite the use of mechanics. Now he's saying good luck. I'm saying great play.
Yeah, luck had nothing to do with that. That was just brilliant timing and placement. And again, it's the mechanics of Jose Brian that are so clean. If you want to watch how to do this stuff right, watch this kid play.
Wow, and that Bandit getting on top of Carnage's Bandit once again. Very, very great plays. And you would want to call it luck, but luck just doesn't happen over and over and over like that.
Here we are, passing a minute and a half in regulation, and right now, it again seems to be the young standout Jose Brian for Cream Esports, really in control of this match.
And this is where Jose Brian's defense is really going to come into play. I mean, Carnage may try the battle ram behind the P.E.K.K.A. to get through once Jose Brian's P.E.K.K.A. is lashed onto his or targeted onto his.
And picks up the bar barrel with the Royal Ghost in the back, and it might be able to sneak through here. Does it take? Yeah, unfortunately, it does take one P.E.K.K.A. shot, and now we go Ram in that lane. And Battle Ram.
There's no defense on the right, Rich. There's nothing there to pick this up. Those minions will connect. That's going to be a decent amount of damage coming down for Carnage.
Nice giant snowball, though, does prevent the connection. That could have been a whole lot worse. And here we are in double elixir time, and things pretty much all tied up.
And Jose Brian barely missing the dash there from the Bandit. Not the end of the world, but it would have been nice.
And that's quite a lot of damage for very little elixir in the right-hand lane, down to 14-21. Carnage now choosing to eat a lot, and there you go. It's Jose Brian taking advantage of that opening, throwing the Ram Rider with the minion support down the lane. Does not get the connection, though.
No, he does not, and now he's got a massive push coming down both lanes. Where is Jose going to play defense? It's got to be the right, but that's another connection. Excuse me, the first one wasn't a connection, but those barbs did get on the tower, and that is devastating.
Yeah, that is a lot of damage, down to 306, 279, 252. So now we're getting to a point where he's within Zap Poison range.
He really is. Now we just need a quick cycle, play smart defense. The P.E.K.K.A. comes down to catch that Ram Rider. P.E.K.K.A. up top, just play your cheap cards, Carnage, and get the spells out.
You have to imagine that Carnage has this one pretty well locked up here. Royal Ghost coming down in support of the defense. That Ram Rider does get kind of a shocking connection, but there you see Poison down, Zap down, a little BM, and Carnage gets one back for Pain Gaming.
We are all even in King of the Hill.
Getting into game number 3, Carnage staying on the hill. Up next for Cream Esports, Diego E. And you got to wonder again, it's always in your mind, is Carnage going to play it? Is Carnage going to play it? Is Carnage going to play it?
I mean, he did such a great job that last game, playing a very classic P.E.K.K.A. bridge spam, and you saw that Jose just overextended a little bit and was left wanting on defense when that battle ram connected in the when the battle ram came down with the minions behind it. That battle ram not connecting allowed those minions to get a lot of damage in on that tower.
And here you go. Looks like Carnage just running it back. You know, he had success one time. Why not do it again?
Wow, Rich. Oh my gosh, that's tower down on the right-hand side.
Okay. That's a massive P.E.K.K.A. push on the right-hand side for Diego E, and he's fighting from behind early on.
And then he drops a minion, or excuse me, a bandit right into the P.E.K.K.A., leaving it basically useless.
Wow, this is a kind of crazy turn of events here, and you see Carnage going, yeah, dude, well played. I know, it's over.
why? I mean, you and I have talked about this many, many times just in our friendship of P.E.K.K.A.'s in the back, Golems in the back, Lava Hounds in the back very early on. It's happened a couple times now, and every time it's happened, it hasn't paid off well for that player.
Yeah, although on the other side, you had that very aggressive P.E.K.K.A. from Carnage. So, you know, it's who knows what's going on. This is CRL West. This is Season 2. All bets are off at this stage.
Carnage sees Diego drop the P.E.K.K.A. in the back on the left-hand side. He knows he can go P.E.K.K.A. minions at the river on the right-hand side, and as you saw, there's just nothing there to defend. Once again, P.E.K.K.A. in the back, fine. I'll drop a bandit in the middle, get a charge in and a couple hits. And now he's got the damage lead again on the left-hand side. Really, really fascinating. And again, this is Diego E's first time inside of the big lights of CRL, and you have to wonder if the pressure's just cooking him. Yeah, and you know, Diego E is known for being a control player. He is not in control right now. He's a tower down playing into Carnage, who is on a streak at the moment.
Heading into double elixir time, and Carnage, you thought this guy was be playing decks for a tie? No way, he's going for blood right now.
Yeah, absolutely. P.E.K.K.A. at the river with the minions. As you said, that is definitely going for blood, Rich.
Ram Rider not going to get through, and yeah, now we expect maybe the BMs will flow a little bit faster here from Carnage, who, again, we talked about this at the top of the show. This is a guy who, yeah, he's just going to, yeah, well played, well played. This is a guy who wanted to prove he belongs to this level. He felt a little bit left out in the cold last season despite winning a world championship, and he wants to use this as an opportunity to show that he is one of the best. And not just on ladder, but here in competitive play.
Yeah, I mean, CRL Finals #1, Global Tournament #1, ladder #2. This guy knows exactly what he's doing. And honestly, I love the BMs. I love getting your opponent's head on the big stage, and you know someone with as much experience as Carnage, he knows it's getting to Diego, and Diego has nothing to do but honestly put down his tablet, his phone, and walk away.
And Carnage told me this was his favorite emote, so the goblin over and over and over again. Carnage now 2 in a row, and a pretty fast start here for Pain Gaming.
And now it sits all on the shoulders of Lindsay to bring this to 1v1. Carnage on the cusp of sweeping for Pain.
A pretty nasty one. And like you said, Andrew, Carnage 1 game away from a sweep, but across from him, Lindsay, who, in a very interesting turn, one of his favorite decks is Ice Bow, and how cool would it be to come out and just put your fist on the table and play Ice Bow against the best in the world?
I mean, the one thing about that I love is it would be so entertaining to watch. The other thing is that Carnage probably knows everything that you need to do to beat Ice Bow, because he's lost in every way possible with Ice Bow, and we're seeing an Ice Golem and a Mega Minion. Both those cards are in Ice Bow, Rich. And not bats.
Not bats, not bats. So we've taken a left turn at the traffic light here, and Dark Prince in the back as well. So Miner right behind the King Tower, maybe just a cycle Miner here at this point. Or possibly was that a misplay?
I'm not sure. It's probably just a cycle to maybe meet the Knight, or excuse me, the Prince. Might be seeing some sort of order deck here.
So it's probably Giant Double Prince with Miner at this point.
Yes, definitely from Lindsay.
And, you know, for being as Expo, that's a really annoying deck to play against because you have 3 really tanky troops that can all pick up your Expo. So maybe trying to put his opponent on Expo at some point.
Wow, and the Inferno Tower comes in just in time. That Miner's coming to stop the... Honestly, the Miner could have been played a little higher to keep the bats alive, but not really that big of a difference maker.
So it looks like Miner Rascal's Loon from Carnage. At least has a lot of the pieces of that deck right now.
And this is the moment where Lindsay is just going to keep his foot on the gas pedal. But the thing is, if Carnage can defend effectively, he will find himself an advantage, but he's still 3 elixir behind.
So here we are, halfway through regulation time, and 3 elixir behind, and a little tower damage behind as well is Carnage. And now he's just, I think he finally learned where the well played button is. Oh no, that's his favorite button to play.
Right. That and the Goblin sticking his tongue out. Now the thing that's so dangerous about this Giant Double Prince deck is if you find yourself wanting for elixir, they can just keep spamming the river on either side, and eventually you can't keep up with it. You just can't. There's too much health behind both the Princes and the Giant. Very, very curious to see what Carnage is planning on doing to end up getting through to these towers, other than just a Miner in.
And tries to pick up the Miner, misses the pickup there with the Barb Barrel, so a lot of damage there. And now we're going with the balloon push on the left-hand side.
Yep. This deck was very, very popular for a moment in GC's and Lauder. It's still popular, but just not quite as much as it was maybe like a few weeks ago.
That zap was almost brilliant. Retargeted the Musketeer to the Miner, but the Fireball came in just in time to stop that balloon. A great play offensively from Carnage, and even better defense from Lindsay.
So we've got Giant Double Prince here against a Miner Loon variant, and it's going to be, I mean, if you look at the bottom of your screen here, Lindsay's got 2 units to defend air. That zap coming in to retarget onto the Miner could be his way of breaking through, but this is a huge push coming down the left-hand lane.
Hits the bar barrel to the back to take care of the Musketeer, and the Miner comes in onto the Inferno Tower.
A great zap to retarget that tower onto the Miner, and that Giant is a very healthy Giant on the tower. This is very dangerous.
Gonna be down under 700 down. Wow, that's so many swings from the Giant. We are in sudden death overtime, and Carnage has his back against the wall.
Yeah, Lindsay just gonna keep the pressure up on that left-hand lane. Carnage has got to create pressure on the right to stop this push.
Miner to the back here for Lindsay as the balloons come on the other side. Fireball down, and a nice retarget. Giant Snowball retargets the Miner onto the King Tower. That is super helpful right now. And at 263, though, with the Fireball and Zap, it's just a little bit too late.
Absolutely. Lindsay here going to be evening things up, going to our final game of King of the Hill. Unless something crazy happens. There it is. Lindsay taking Carnage out. Carnage saying, you got lucky, brother. But Lindsay coming up against Wen for our final game of King of the Hill.
And you heard the cheers from that cream bench.
Yes.
They are so excited. This just isn't CRL West. This is a grudge match against the other LATAM team that made it into this season.
Lindsay trying to keep things alive for Cream. If this goes to 1v1, Rich, it's 0-0. And Wen, the ladder master, coming out for Pain, trying to send this one home.
And Wen is a second Icebow player in a row. So you just saw Lindsay take out one who didn't play Icebow. Does Wen go to that well at this stage? So far, no one has really been kind of turning into what their bread and butter is.
Yeah, and it's, the funniest thing here is their favorite deck is the Icebow, and their favorite competitive deck is the Sparky Goblin Giant. So I can't wait to see if they play either of these. The early Furnace, though, tells us no on both accounts. So probably Royal Giant at the top here from Wen. And maybe Bridge Spam on the bottom, who knows? Only 2 cards in.
Nice little bit of value there for the poison. Not going to eat, oh no, he is going to eat some of the damage, I believe, from, no, now he has the bandit down. Going to get nothing, so that was perfectly timed poison there against that Furnace, and we are down to through our first minute, and Musketeer coming up to meet the Baby Dragon, and a Lightning just wipes her off the board.
And the Mega Knight comes down just a second late in the sense of the Baby Dragon connecting to the tower, but that is a very healthy Mega Knight coming down the lane for Lindsay. And the jump on the Furnace, you don't ever want that.
MK gets to Furnace, and oh, look at this. Might get a King Tower activation. No, played it just a half step early there, maybe.
That
ram to tower.
Sorry, a devastating misplay. That ram is very healthy and on the tower.
So a little bit of a flash there from Wen trying to go for the King Tower activation. Not only does he play it too early, but he eats that huge damage from the Ram Rider.
All evened up in Elixir here. It always feels good when you can catch a bandit with a bar barrel. I am horrible at it.
Yeah, I miss that all the time. It's such a frustrating play. Just a half step off. And here we go, passing the midway point, and right now it is still Lindsay in the lead, but not by a ton. His left-hand tower down to 1695. Again, he needs a win here to keep his team going into 1v1. Wen can close things out for Pain Gaming here in the next few minutes.
Lindsay playing the Mega Knight in the back, knowing it's going to meet the Royal Giant right at the river, trying to tank for all the DPS units behind it. Now, the interesting thing here is how is he going to turn this defense into a strong offense? And the Inferno Dragon comes down.
That's going to be really tough here for Wen to find any way through now.
A very nice Lightning, though.
So well cleaned up are those support troops. Does not get the push onto tower. And we're going to reset here as we move into our final minute and double elixir time.
Both these guys playing so incredibly efficiently with their elixir. Less than half an elixir leak on both sides of the field. And that poison coming in, just chipping away at the tower. I like that RG to catch the bandit dash, keeping the Furnace alive, even if just for a half second longer.
And this would be so frustrating, though. The Ram Rider really slowing down that Royal Giant with the Musketeer in support, getting pretty much nothing there. So now about 500 plus HP separate these two players, but Lindsay seems to be in a pretty good spot so far.
Yeah, you'd think that Lindsay wouldn't be in a great position because he doesn't have a building, but his ability to use the Ram Rider to stop that Royal Giant is really excellent play. And again, it creates a counter push, which a building does not do for you. So now Wen is continued to be able to, he's forced to have to continue to use his lightning on defense.
And that's a lot of damage there on the towers. We're down to 786 now. We are in sudden death overtime and cycling Royal Giant in the back, preparing, giving himself enough time to build up tons of elixir to get back in this thing is when. The question is, does he have enough in the tank to overcome this deficit?
And here's the thing, every time he plays the Furnace, it is in a poisonable range, but if that RG connects once and is not getting hit by the high DPS units from Lindsay, it's game over real quick. But right here, as you can see, strong defense, a moderately healthy Mega Knight coming down. I think a poison has got to come down very soon as well.
You know, Wen was really hoping he could get that one Royal Giant on tower. Poison down, he caught it perfectly there, Andrew. And that's a really high value poison, getting tower, furnace, E-Wiz, and guards all at once. This looks like it's Lince's game to win here.
And that one Musketeer hit is devastating, Rich. And the Barb hit. Now this is game over. I don't know how you allow that Barb to connect right there. Snowball and Poison end it. This is a quick game. Lindsay keeping Cream alive.
And we are going to be heading to 1v1. Unbelievable performance. Lindsay coming back and getting 2 in a row for his squad against 2 very talented heads-up players. And now he keeps Cream in the running to start off their season 1-0. And what better way to kick off CRL West than with a 3-set match down to 1v1. The big question now, Andrew, who will they send out as their champions? Oh, wow.
They're gonna go with Wen.
Look, Wen is a fantastic player, a talented player. You know, I felt like the hot hand for Lince was the right call, and there they go. I suspected Carnage, but look, they had 2 ways to go. They went with Wen, and you know, I believe their team knows what they're doing. It's an easy choice. It's a hard choice, but an easy choice. You have 2 great players in front of you.
Yeah, and this is the moment where they're showing this is who I have all my faith in to take home the very first match of CRL West. We got Wen going up against Lindsay in this 1v1 tiebreaker set.
And here we go. Getting into our 1v1 set, Lindsay versus Wen. And look, both of these players do like Icebo. Will we see one of them play it at some point here today?
An early Tombstone tells us no, Rich, and the Battle Ram coming in. So we're looking at probably Graveyard at the top of your screen from Wen, or excuse you said, you know, the new iteration of Splash Yard. Bottom of your screen, a Prince and a Battle Ram.
Dark Prince really has been sort of the big winner of the last update. It's appeared in so many decks, and it gives you a lot of versatility, both in a situation like this, where you can put Graveyard behind it as that tank for the Splash Yard deck. We're going to see a Tornado here at some point. But also, you know, you've seen it come up now in Golem decks, where suddenly it gives you the ability to throw opposite lane pressure, but still support your Golem.
And then if you are behind the Golem, none of those big spells are it's gonna be a waste on the Dark Prince, whether it's Lightning, Rocket, Fireball, anything, that shield soaks up that damage.
Exactly. Oh, Musketeer gets on tower, and that's gonna be 3, maybe 4 shots here. Wow. A lot of damage early on for Lince.
Yeah, you know, when really anyone playing a Graveyard deck is you basically just got to play as best defense as you can until you get into double elixir time, because if you overcommit with an early Graveyard, it leaves you wanting on defense almost 9 times out of 10.
And this is such a fun bridge spam variant that Lindsay is playing here between, because it's faster, right? You know, throwing that Prince into, wow!
The freeze!
not what I saw coming in that moment, so we'll see what Wen's planning to do with this freeze. I mean, you still feel like, it still feels like it's a Graveyard deck.
It has to be, yeah. I just think that there's probably not going to be the NATO then, or maybe it's going to be triple, well, not triple spell because of the Bar Barrel, but it feels like a spell.
The Bar Barrel's a spell, come on. but nothing's going to stop that Musketeer and a Bandit charge, and there is a NATO there as well to activate King Tower.
But wow, that Musketeer just keeps ticking away at that left-hand tower, now below 1,000 HP. Wen has got to play stellar defense for the rest of this game.
But we've said this a million times before on CRL, Andrew. The thing about a Graveyard deck is, especially now that we know it's Graveyard Freeze, it can steal a game from you in the blink of an eye.
So Lindsay is going to do his best job to stop everything at the river. The last thing you want is something to cross that bridge and tank for that Graveyard. And if nothing ever gets across, Wen can't drop a Graveyard. You just can't drop a naked Graveyard.
And there's some pretty solid value out of the first Musketeer and the second, so Lindsay doing a good job keeping it down, and I like the Ice Golem play here in front. Protect your Musketeers.
That's right. Very, very heads-up play, and as you're talking about the most recent buffs to cards, the Musketeer got a very, very nice one, and keeping her alive, very important.
So some dual lane pressure here from Lindsay. A nice tornado to pull it all together. Ice Wiz NATO, we thought you were gone. Just when I thought it was safe to go in the water, Ice Wiz NATO comes back with a vengeance.
I mean, Ice Wiz NATO, Baby Dragon Tombstone is one of the most powerful defensive combinations in the game. Almost impossible to break through. However, Lindsay doing a great job. I mean, Wen has not played his win condition yet, Rich.
Not one time. Now, look, he might be trying to find a moment here, but I just don't know with the speed of this particular spam variation if he's going to find that moment.
He keeps doing it. He keeps stopping everything in the river, and then I love the dual lane aggression from Lindsay, making it so that Wen has to spend just enough elixir in the right or left-hand lane, the opposite lane, not being able to drop the Graveyard. You see it once again with the Battle Ram, and that will connect.
Yeah, Tombstone too far inside, so now he's in trouble on both sides. Is the Brazilian Wen in a minute into our overtime period, and he is really on his back foot, and now we get our first big Graveyard.
We got to imagine the Graveyard's going to come in, the freeze has to come in. It's kind of do or die at this moment. There's the freeze. Will he be able to connect? Snowball comes in late.
And that's a big connection from the Dark Prince. So, look, 1547 isn't as much as he would have liked from that push, but he still isn't in spell cycle range yet necessarily. So Wen in this game for the moment.
Lindsay doing a great job, as I said before, keeping up that pressure, just asking enough out of Wen's elixir on defense. And this is where it starts to get really dangerous, Rich.
Graveyard freeze one more time.
Baby Dragon
down
on
under
the
1,000.
tower.
Baby Dragon, Baby Dragon.
Wow, we are so close to even Wen keeping his cool. And honestly, Lindsay, this dual lane aggression now getting stopped by the Tombstone. He should be using something else, I think. The Battle Ram is too easily counterable for a negative elixir trade every time.
And now he chooses to go same lane here. Prince picks up the Baby Dragon aggro, keeping that Musketeer very healthy fireball down. And now we're at a point where Wen is in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, this is a very, very dangerous game. The Bandit coming in, a lot of pressure. What's he going to do to catch the Bandit? Nothing. That is going to be it.
Wow! Perfect timing. The Bandit is the winner.
I love the aggression. You know that is calculated aggression. He knew there was nothing there to catch. Tombstone was out of cycle. Maybe not enough elixir. Bandit comes in, and that is the dash for the day, man.
So here we go, and well, we do see the Ice Wizard, although coming up with Zap as his second card. Not playing Ice Bow.
Yeah, most likely not playing Ice Bow. We see the Lumberjack coming
Certainly
down.
not with a Lumberjack. So here we go, Lindsay showing early signs of Royal Giant.
Could even be... Okay, all right.
All
An
right.
aggressive balloon.
Very, very aggressive balloon, and picked up nicely by the Furnace.
A very fortunate drop there on the Furnace, taking it out of play.
So Wen playing a really interesting combination here with the Lumberloon mixed in with the defensive utility of the Ice Wiz.
And the Lumberloon deck is so frustrating to play against, because if you're playing against it, you can get yourself caught playing offense or defense too aggressively on one side of the map. And then on the other side, a Lumberjack and a Loon comes in, and you've just lost your tower in 2 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. Now think about this for a second. With the, wow, the P.E.K.K.A., the Lumberjack, and the Ice Wiz, You have to think that when, unless he was facing against something he didn't expect at all, like maybe Lava Hound, he was feeling like he could use this deck to draw pretty much against anything, and then potentially, wow!
That is huge. That's tower down, Rich. I was going to say, oh wow, even better Lumberjack coming in from Lindsay to stop that, but I did not like the lightning. I felt it was a little bit aggressive. Maybe he didn't have a better option, but that hurts.
Lumberjack, Balloon, Freeze, P.E.K.K.A, Ice Wiz.
Right. Should have predicted it.
Yeah, totally. And Lindsay just smack dab in the middle of the meta, choosing to go with the Lumberjack variant over the over the Guards variant here with his Royal Giant deck.
Yeah, very, very interesting deck here from Gwen, but I love it. I love these off-meta decks, Rich. I really do.
You know, you got to think again. What I was saying before we had that big moment was that it feels like this is a deck that Wen knew he could draw if he needed to with this deck, but still has that boom power that can really take a game on.
Yeah, because the defensive capabilities of that deck are massive with the freeze, with the P.E.K.K.A, with the Ice Wish. You can stop anything on the ground or in the air. Interesting NATO.
A somewhat ill-timed NATO, you might say, because now does not have it available for this Royal Giant. That's going to be a couple of shots here. Lumberjack will melt the RG, but not quite in time. And with the Lightning in, that's a lot of damage that Wen probably didn't need to eat.
Yeah, really, really nice Lightning coming in, catching the two units, the Ice Wiz and the Lumberjack, and of course the tower, kind of slowing things down when decides to play the P.E.K.K.A in the back.
And that's a lot of Fire Spirit damage there. 2 Furnaces get 3 of them onto the P.E.K.K.A and the tower. So again, a couple pieces of damage that you really have to feel like Wen could have avoided.
And where I was just going to say, if you get all that together and freeze it, that balloon is very healthy coming in. You need to stop it. The death damage, though, you really want to avoid it. And wow, just 1 tile away.
1 tile off, and Lindsay's doing a great job with the Furnaces right now, really clogging up the lane, and kind of, we've already seen forcing some unexpected damage here on his opponent's tower.
Yeah, those Furnaces are so menacing, so much damage. He's gonna take out the Mega Minion.
4 Fire Spirits, that is so unbelievably frustrating.
And you know that another Furnace is gonna come out within the next 5 seconds, which is just, I mean, well, maybe not because of the P.E.K.K.A here. The freeze, wow, that freeze is, he is playing it masterfully.
Yeah, that's a beautiful defensive freeze, right? You know, you think you gotta save that for your balloon, but that freeze might have been what saved the game, but that would have been a couple of RG shots if he hadn't done it in that moment.
Oh, this is real scary. The balloon's gonna sneak through. The P.E.K.K.A's taking for the balloon. Lumberjack on the tower. This could be it. Ooh.
Does not quite get the full drop, but down to 116. Now again, there's no big spell here to close it out with a single shot, but freeze and zap will get him close, but again, not quite.
Yeah, not quite. He's got to cycle around his cheapest cards as fast as possible for that Mama P.E.K.K.A. I mean, the Mama P.E.K.K.A is going to be clogging up all of the offensive capabilities of Lindsay here.
And double zap won't do it either, so you see just continuing to play here at the bridge and not get maybe over-aggressive trying to cycle spells on tower right now.
Only 6 Elixir in the hand of Wen, though. What does he have to stop all this? I don't know if he has enough, Rich. Lightning comes in. 2 shots from the RG. Oh, wow, that NATO just in time.
Such a massive NATO, and wait a second, Lumberjack E-Wiz in just enough time, but down to 60 HP.
The zap comes in, a freeze and a zap ends this game for Wen.
And again, it's crazy because Zap can't do it by himself.
Royal Giant coming in, aggressive plays here. NATO comes to pull it back. He can't let that RG connect because of Lightning with the RG. 1 shot, Lightning coming in. This is gonna, oh my goodness.
We're at 60, we are separated by 3 HP.
Oh my gosh!
What? I am completely shocked that Lumberjack made it all the way. Just everyone's thirsting for Elixir. Please, please feed me a little bit. Forget talking about draws. Wen pulls it out, gets the victory in style. Wen and Lindsay splitting the first 2. Here we go, game number 3, and this has already been completely crazy. The decks we've seen have been all over the map, and you know we haven't seen a lot of draw decks today, which people were kind of concerned about. Instead, people are going for blood.
And I love it. Everyone was so skeptical about the bans, Rich. I think it has heightened the gameplay. I'm sweating, okay? My heart rate's through the roof.
Here we go. Wen, top of your screen. Lindsay at the bottom, and this one will decide it all. One of these teams walks home with their opening victory of CRL West. The other has to go back to the drawing board and figure out what they can do better next time.
And you know these guys are playing for more than just that first win. There's so much pride on the line for these two teams.
Not to mention a trip all the way to Xi'an, China in July. So I know I'd love to go to China. I know they'd love to go to China.
And the Princes meet right on the other side, or Lindsay's side of the river. Mega Minion comes in to clean everything up. Looking like that new iteration of Splash Yard at the top from Wen.
And Prince just barely staying alive, tanked for by the Mega Minion. It will go down, but don't often see a Mega Minion just keeping a one-shot Prince alive that long.
Yep. And at the bottom of your screen, most likely a, what, RG? I've even seen weird Golem decks with most of these cards in it, honestly.
Prince is so versatile, can fit into so many. And again, Prince and Dark Prince both, you're kind of finding them move all over the place. You've seen Prince now, and with the Lightning, does start to feel like we're moving towards a full big beatdown deck. But you see Prince now, you see it coming up in minor poison decks. You see it coming up in that graveyard double Prince deck. You see it, of course, coming up as beatdown support. You see it in bridge spam. And this is, I'm talking about both Prince and Dark Prince.
Lindsay trying to figure out his plan of attack. Now, Wen going in with the Barbell on the left, maybe as a distraction. Lindsay's not biting.
We'll get 2 swings there, so nice little chip damage for Wen. We are about to enter into double elixir time, so we might see the pace pick up here in this next minute.
Yep, and there's the graveyard coming in, a very, very aggressive graveyard. Those guards are going to make very easy work of it, though.
So then the poison late here just to pick up those defensive troops.
There it is.
There we go. There goes the Golem.
And the reason we say Golem over RG here is you see the Prince and the Baby Dragon, the Mega Minion, those couple so well. And with those those quick cycle cards, it makes it so it's harder to get punished early on.
And knowing that Wen likes to play a little fast here, you can see the reason he's going in this direction. Here we are, final 30 seconds of regulation, and that's a pretty hefty lightning. I don't think we're gonna see, and there you go, second tombstone down. And will it pull the second Golemite over to that tower? We're gonna see here in a second.
Very aggressive Golem at the river, but it's keeping Wen from being able to bar barrel graveyard in the opposite lane, which is what you want to do, right? You want to keep up as much pressure as you can against the Golem player to keep them from really stacking a lot of units behind. But as you said, oh, sorry.
Oh yeah, entering the sudden death overtime, it really is a very fascinating match so far. The rhythm starting to develop here, and it seemed like Wen was going to take advantage of some big moments, but now that we have that chance, and with how quick Lindsay can get back to Golems, things are really starting to move in his favor.
And those lightnings are really, really starting to hurt. Getting down to 946 HP, just having to spend all of his elixir on defense is when, and there's the bar barrel graveyard that I talked about, but those guards are such a nuisance, Rich.
And here's the other part about it is that Wen doesn't quite feel confident enough to be throwing poison in support of that graveyard quite yet, because he doesn't want to add in another 4 elixir he cannot use to respond to this quick cycling Golem deck.
Exactly. He wants to use the poison right here, right? He wants to take out the Tombstone. He wants to take out the Ice Wiz. He wants to take out all the defensive units that are going to be right there. But very, very high plays on these defensive units to keep that lightning off the tower.
So here we are, 1 minute down in overtime, and the Ice Wiz still getting in there, doing its best to keep this damage off tower, and a beautiful nado to the opposite lane.
You take a look at your screen, these two gentlemen are laser focused, everything on the line for their teams. This is a lowest tower situation, Rich, and Lindsay has a commanding lead.
And now I wonder if we're going to see Wen go opposite lane. He has a lot down defensively to stop this Golem push, and then he just chooses to double up on that Ice Wiz, knowing the first one's going to shoot up there at the bridge.
And I was just going to say that is not where you want to play your Ice Wiz, because it is, again, giving lightning value to Lindsay. It does feel like he's got this in the bag. So much on the field right now, and only a Baby Dragon to stop. Snowball comes in. Whew.
And you still see here, Lindsay is ahead on elixirs. It's going to be really hard for Wen to get back in. Now, this is game 3, so this is lowest single tower at this point. So Wen cannot play for a draw here.
Yeah, he doesn't. He's having a really hard time deciding what to do. I mean, he can't go bar barrel graveyard, so he goes naked graveyard. Guards are still going to come in. It's just nothing he can do. Now, the Barbarian may get to the tower, but that's not enough damage, Rich.
You know, that's a question of, at that moment, was that the time to try to go all in with the poison, knowing there's so much commitment in the right-hand lane?
Ooh, there it is. That's it. We're a lightning away.
We are a lightning away, and that's it. There you go.
Wow.
Lindsay closes this thing out for Cream Esports and takes the first win of CRL West.
Unbelievable showing from these two teams. You know there's bad blood in the water. Cream walks away. Lindsay showed up to play.
Just such a tough spot for Wen there. You know, you don't really have a choice of what you can do. You're sitting there going, I have to defend this, have to defend this. Sometimes as you're feeling more confident in a moment, maybe you go all in left-hand side, try to steal that one like a graveyard deck can do.
Right.
But you're under the bright lights. It's CRL. It's the first game. Can you take a big risk like that even though you can feel your tower's about to drop?
And you called it correctly. It was too hard for him to commit all of his elixir with the bar barrel, with the graveyard, with the poison. It's just too much. There's nothing left to defend. And you see, even with holding the poison, there still wasn't enough to defend.
And a fantastic performance by Lindsay here, coming out kind of as the big hero of the day between his King of the Hill performance and his performance here in 1v1 on a stacked team. Not the guy you were sitting there talking about being the #1, being the champion, but like we said in the break between King of the Hill and 1v1, that hot hand, when it's on fire, you gotta go with it.
Yeah, and they rode it hard, and I love it. Now, you and I both thought Carnage was going to come out, and they benched him. Wen came out, and Wen struggled a little bit in that King of the Hill set. Now, he only had one game to make a showing, but I still think they should have went with Carnage. I truly do. And you know what? Lindsay today used 5 different decks.
Yeah,
five different decks.
All over the place.
And he was 80% with them.
That was beautiful. Absolutely fantastic play. And then on the other side of it, you have Wen, who went with that insane balloon freeze,
right,
lumberjack, P.E.K.K.A, Ice Wiz, NATO, like all over the place deck. And that's what we kind of are excited to see about this season. And you saw the confidence in playing a deck like that in game #2. And then when he realized he was in trouble in game #3, you wonder if he froze up a little bit there.
Yeah, maybe if he was trying to play too safe, because he knows there's incredible defensive capabilities with that Splash Yard deck, but the defense wasn't enough and there was no offense.
And that was a big trouble. So here we go. To get a little more information from our hero right here to Linz, let's go down to the floor where Rachel's standing by.
Hey guys, thank you so much. I am down here with Lindsay, and we got a translator here from Cream Esports, but please tell me about yourself.
Hey, I'm Franco. I'm head analyst in Cream Esports.
And analysis came in a big way here. Lindsay, you took out Carnage, you took out Wen, 2 heavy hitters from Pain. So tell me what went into the decks that you were bringing to this event, because we had no bans.
Dice que derrotas a Carnage, que derrotas a Wen. Cuéntanos un poco sobre tus decks.
Estuvimos trabajando por estos 3 días y nada, buscamos counter para más o menos la mayoría de mazos de ellos y fuimos sacando según la intuición del momento.
Okay, he's saying that he was working. We were working hard, and we were working to counter most of their decks.
Because our rules state that we are going by lowest single tower damage, I want to know, how did that affect when you choose to put pressure on both lanes versus single lane?
Como la estrategia de como la regla era de una sola torre de daño para ganar, ¿cómo eso afectó en tu estrategia?
No afectó mucho, o sea, en ese mazo que había que presionar por las 2 líneas, a ese matchup en específico que era cementería, hay que jugarlo así, porque no tiene muchas tropas de tierra.
Okay. He's saying that he was pressuring 2 lanes, because basically in that matchup you have to pressure both lanes.
You did a great job pressuring both lanes. You cleaned that one up for your team, coming in from way behind there to take the victory. Was that a lot of extra pressure?
¿Tenías algún tipo de extra presión?
Sí, tal vez porque al ser la primera fecha, que en el debut siempre uno tiene los nervios de siempre, ¿no? Pero después de ganar en el King of the Hill, estaba mucho más tranquilo.
He's saying that being the first match, you all have pressure, but after winning the King of the Hill, he felt more comfortable.
Great. I love to see you comfortable up there. Now we are going to go up to the casters to check out that last match.
What a great performance by the Argentinian, moving to Cream Esports from last year being with Sandstorm, and looks right now like a pretty darn good fit for the guy after going 4-1 here to close things out. Welcome back, and our second match of the day features two squads with quite a bit of questions to answer. On one side, Tribe Gaming facing off against a completely reworked Dignitas.
Yeah, Dignitas, kind of the Cinderella story of CRL West this year. A lot of questions with their roster, and of course, Blaze making his CRL West debut.
Here they come, entering the arena right now, Tribe Gaming and Dignitas. And you see the confidence, Andrew, in both these two squads.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you got to imagine the energy in that tunnel right now, the nerves. Just want to get up there and do what they do best, which is play some Clash Royale, Rich.
It's an interesting mix with these two squads. Lots of veterans, but lots of brand new players. Over on the side of Tribe, of course, we have J Monty, B-Rad, and Tommy all returning, but two new players in Nitram and Spades.
Yes, of course. And you know, Nitram and Spades, some question marks there. Tommy is here from day one, though, for Tribe. And that was something that was not happening last year at CRL. So they've got a slight edge, I would say.
We'll see what kind of advantage that gives them this time around. Across from them, the men in yellow, Team Dignitas, made up, of course, of the CCGS North American champion Oxalate, Frost and Eddie return, and as you mentioned before, young Blaze making his CRL debut.
Yeah, a lot of people asking about Blaze and seeing, there's not a lot of game tape on him, whereas with everyone else here, there's a ton of game tape. So I cannot wait to see what he has to bring to the stage today and where he's going to land in the lineup.
And here we go, Tribe versus Dignitas 2v2. And no big surprises here from Tribe. J Monty and B-Rad coming out, and that's a pair.
Yeah, and coming up against Oxalate and Frost. Now, all four of these gentlemen actually did not have the strongest 2v2 records in Season 1. J Monty was the best actually at a 500 even, Rich. So, you know, a lot of players and coaches talked about the importance of 2v2, and I'm very excited to see how these All-Stars are going to fit into this new roster.
Also, fun note here, Oxalate from Tribe last season going up for his first match of the year against his former teammates in J Monty and B-Rad.
Wonder if there'll be a little bit of shade there thrown.
We will find out, and
immediately we get a Lava Hound in the back with a zap on the tower to cycle.
And no bans is going to have some very interesting impacts on this 2v2 game. We've already seen a bunch of that so far, but you can see now, we didn't see a lot of Lava and Royal Giant who played in the same game last season.
Yeah, and a very aggressive push here coming in for Tribe, but getting a decent amount of damage in one hit from that Royal Giant. But you got to think this Miner and Lava Hound combo is going to be quite the nuisance in the bottom right hand of the screen.
Well, we'll see what Tribe has in store for that Lava Hound when it pops. Ice Wizard already down. Should be able to take care of a lot of that unless it gets hurt. Snowball comes in, clears up most of that damage down to 22:08 as the first minute passes away.
And Tribe here having a substantial elixir lead going into this second minute of gameplay.
Lumberjack does get, and that's so frustrating when just one swing. He's so quick and deceptive. Lumberjack, one big swing here. And now look at this. Dignitas going opposite lane. Lava Hound on one side, Inferno Drag on the other.
And you wonder if that WoW was coming because of a slight miscommunication. You saw them drop the cards at the exact same moment. And you look, this Inferno Drag to be cleaned up with that Mega Minion for a -1 trade. Again, giving Tribe a bit of elixir advantage.
You know, it's been a long off season, and this is the first game for all four of these players. You got to imagine there are just a couple kinks to be worked out. Now, also another thing, Dignitas, they didn't have their roster set until very, very recently. So while a few teams have had the chance to practice a lot together coming into the season, Dignitas has only had about a week or two so far to get ready and get their rhythm together as a pair.
Yeah, and a big push coming in here. That Giant Skeleton will actually not clean up those troops with the bomb because they are running. The Lumberjack did not hold them long enough in place there, Rich.
We're in double elixir time, and so far no one's come out to a huge lead, although Dig slightly ahead. A nice start so far, other than that one misstep for Frost and Oxalate. The question is, what will they do here on the left with this Royal Giant?
Yeah, some very interesting deck compositions here. That Inferno Tower coming down is going to be a really, really nice tool for Tribe to use against the Lava Hound pushes here. And that Royal Giant is doing work on the left side of the screen, Rich.
Yeah, Tornado does not do enough. They're down to 744 at this stage. You have to imagine just some clean defense and some spell cycle. Tribe Tribe should have game number 1 all sewed up here.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more here. That Royal Giant is a nuisance. It is actually a pretty cheap expenditure here, because if you look, they only have to back it up with an Ice Wizard, where on the other side of the screen, you got bats, you got a flying machine, you need the miner to come in, you got the NATO drop. There's a lot going on, and if it's defended, there is nothing left to push Elixir-wise.
That's a lot of DPS. Can it get it in time? It will not, and there you go. Game number 1. Tribe takes the victory.
Getting into game number 2 of our 2v2 set here with Dignitas and Tribe. And Rich, what I really loved about that last game was the efficient defense played from Tribe throughout. Let's see if they can bring it again in game number 2.
It was that great fireball by B-Rad right at the end, saved the tower from that mini P.E.K.K.A that nearly hit it. So far, Tribe looking like they are in flow. Let's see if Dignitas can pick things up here.
Yeah, and one of the other things that really kept Tribe on top was their cheap and aggressive pushes. They were able to apply a ton of pressure with almost a naked Royal Giant. They'd usually back it up with 3 or 4 Elixir, but that Royal Giant was just a nuisance, and they had all the answers with the Inferno Tower and the mini P.E.K.K.A.
So here we go, Giant Skeleton, Royal Giant. No surprises here coming out of Tribe at the bottom of your screen, top of your screen, Dignitas, Frost, and Oxalate. And you know, this season might end up being a referendum on Oxalate, the former CCGS North American champion. The question really is, does he have the gameplay at the same level he did when he won that tournament?
And that Giant Skeleton bomb was excellent right there, Rich. Now, the idea early on was to get the Giant Skeleton in front of the Royal Giant to clean up all the troops that were there for defense for Dignitas. However, that NATO brought it back behind, still cleaning up the offensive push that was left over from Dignitas, keeping Tribe very, very healthy.
Lumberjack chops that Royal Giant down quickly, but not quickly enough. 1 minute away, down to 13-17 on the right-hand lane is Dignitas.
And the mini P.E.K.K.A in 2v2 is just so powerful, so cheap, and such a great tank killer. And honestly, it's got a bit of tankiness to itself.
Here we are passing the midway point, and so far, Dig behind, and they have switched things up a bit here, going with Golem behind the tower, and immediately Royal Giant, Giant Skeleton, Lumberjack opposite lane.
Well, Rich, that's what you got to do. You know the Elixir flows slower in 2v2, and if your opponent's going to commit all that Elixir, 8 Elixir to a Golem push in the back, you have to get aggressive on the other side of the map. And honestly, I am very, very impressed with Dignitas' defense, and I love the Dark Golem dropped to follow the Golem after cleaning up the push from Tribe.
And there you go, the Earthquake. So Dig does not take a point of damage.
No,
Tornado
Rich, look
doesn't
at that.
work.
And NATO being banned for most, or in all of 2v2 games in Season 1, you see right here how powerful it is, but how big of a waste of Elixir it can be when misused.
That tower's in a lot of trouble now. Baby Dragon probably will get at least one more shot there, and we are just at 11:20 now in double Elixir time, and Dignitas is right back in this thing.
100%. You see the aggressive Golem at the river. This is going to be the push that Tribe has to stop. You see the EQ coming in to take out that Inferno Tower before it does work on the Golem. A really nice, oh wow, never mind. That Inferno Tower would not quit, Rich.
The the Ice Wizard in as well, and now we see double Royal Giant push at the bridge, just trying to get this thing down, seal this game here in moments, but you see again, the Tornado pulling those Royal Giants back. One shot down, we get a second shot down to 669, counter push coming right now from Dig.
Yeah, and that Baby Dragon is on the tower. That is a huge problem. We are now within spell cycle range between the 2 players, the Zap, the EQ, and the Poison. That should wrap it up, and if not, there is always that sneaky miner.
Very nice pickup there with the mini P.E.K.K.A on the miner, but not quite enough.
Wow.
There you go. Frost and Oxalate taking the win here in game number 2. Heading into game 3, Andrew, we've seen some mistakes on both sides. Of course, in game number 1, the push being split to opposite lanes by Dig. Game number 2, the missed Tornado by Tribe. So shocking. Got to wonder if these teams are going to sew things up here in game 3.
Yeah, I understand, you know, nerves are about them on their first day here at CRL West, but what I am so interested in is the use of Earthquake in 2v2. It does seem like that is going to be the it factor in 2v2 this season.
You know, and that's a big question of, you know, even if you were able to ban Tornado or ban Earthquake, you would still have one of those two live, which, as you said, just changed the way 2v2 plays drastically.
Yeah, in 2v2, we almost always see a building and squishy troop. So if you can get an Earthquake down on that building and, let's say, a Dark Goblin or a Goblin gang, whatever it might be, it is such a great use of your Elixir.
So Miner to the safe spot here for Oxalate and Frost. A little chip damage to open things up. And these decks so far looking relatively similar to last time out.
Yeah, and that's one thing that we saw kind of not really working a lot in Season 1 was just running back the same deck over and over and over, especially after losing a game. Now, we'll see how this RG Giant Skeleton deck works out, but it does seem that Dignitas has learned how to stop them efficiently with their defense. I mean, that defense in the last game was phenomenal from Dig.
It also seems that Frost and Ox have calmed down a little bit. You can even see on the podium right now, a little gesturing from Oxalate to his partner. And I guess they just had to get some nerves out. You know, Frost notoriously nervous. He says he feels better about that this season. We'll see if he gets those unfeeling frozen hands again this time around.
Yeah, those shaky fingers, they may be, you know, they may be stemmed from nerves, but he definitely plays better when he's got all that on the line.
So here we are, passing the halfway point of regulation, and there you go, a nice lightning, although what's it making way for? Lumberjack making its way to the river.
And I was just going to say, you got to think they got to pump the brakes right now, Tribe, because that was a very aggressive Lightning Lumberjack. If they supported that at all and Dignitas defended efficiently, that would probably be the end of this Game 3 for them. So I really like the patience that both teams are showing right now.
Well, getting some spell value early definitely could pay off on the back end. And you see, that seems to be Tribe's whole idea right now, is use the Lightning, use the Fireball, get spell value early, and don't find yourselves behind as we get into those final minutes.
Yeah, I mean, you do not want to have the highest HP tower in case we do come to a draw at the end of this 6 minutes, Rich. It is lowest tower takes it all, and with them all evened up right now, that Royal Giant is really dangerous with those spells.
And that's a really excellent point, Andrew. I'm not sure, you know, if Dignitas is keeping that in mind at this stage, although that might have been why we saw the bar barrel on the right-hand lane early on, maybe for cycle reasons, maybe just getting some tower damage. And right now, only a few HP, just over 30 HP separating these two squads.
Yep, and you see that Royal Giant coming in again, just cycling Royal Giants at the river, not wasting as much elixir on the Giant Skeleton. And wow, this is a huge push coming in for Tribe.
That was a nasty lightning. Now at 572,
Mega Minion.
This could change everything. Oh yeah, the big Mega Minion shot.
Those are, it's kind of like the Lumberjack, the last hit. If that Mega Minion gets one swing in, it is pretty devastating.
And so we go, trying to put some real aggressive play on the right-hand lane. This could be trouble. Tornado pulling back the Royal Giant Skeleton. I don't think that's going to be enough, Andrew.
No, Rich, I really don't like that play from Tribe. I honestly think they should have went into it and saved their spells, but it paid off, and Tribe takes set number 1 here in 2v2.
Oxalate, top of your screen. Tommy at the bottom. Little good luck here from both players facing off for the first time this season.
And Rich, you got to remember, Tommy actually had the highest win rate out of every player at CRL Season 1.
Of course, that was with a very limited selection because we only saw him in the second half of that season.
This is true. This is true.
So no shocks here, a lot of bar barrels.
Yep, one of the strongest cards in the game right now, and honestly, I loved seeing the resurgence of Dark Prince, but I don't really love seeing the giant Double Prince decks regularly on ladder, Rich.
Yeah, the Double Prince has been everywhere. This might be that Dark Prince. This looks like Splash Yard, the new variation, quite a lot from Tommy. Oxalate so far showing 4 cards of Royal Giant Furnace.
Yeah, a really, really powerful new iteration of Splash Yard. I'm very excited to see how someone as skilled as Tommy uses it against this deck that Oxalate was rocking. And just like you called it, Rich, this is most likely going to be RG Furnace.
First minute down. Remember, we are, of course, in lowest single tower rules. Tiebreaker rules active for all of King of the Hill.
And the RG in the back, a play that a lot of people are kind of on the fence about, but the more and more that I watch pros play, when they know they have a slight elixir advantage, or they know they can't be punished right away, which Oxalate knows Tommy's rocking Graveyard, he can play that RG in the very back safely.
Yeah, a lot of Royal Giant players prefer to save the Royal Giant to double elixir time, especially the Royal Giant in the back for just that punishment purpose. A little risky here playing it with the Dark Prince. Maybe he thought the Dark Prince wasn't in cycle at the moment. And you see there, the Royal Giant pretty easily cleaned up, and the potential there would have been for the counter lane push.
Yeah, and a really, really nice lightning there. He definitely had a good grasp of what his opponent's elixir was, staying it around even here. Tommy with a slight elixir advantage, but definitely a damage deficit.
And a slight elixir advantage that seems to coincide pretty well with the amount that Ox leaked early on in that first Royal Giant push, maybe pausing a moment trying to decide if he wanted to actually do that in single elixir time.
And now here is the moment for Tommy to kind of step on the gas. Now that we are in double elixir time, that's when the graveyards will start flowing. That is when it is safe. And that Dark Prince almost getting a connection. Let's see what this RG does.
Royal Giant does pick up the aggro, but with that Ice Wiz Tombstone combination, going to be very hard to get through with any Royal Giant pushes here. Ox is going to have to really, really measure himself to find a way to get on tower once more.
And I was just going to say, you've got to imagine another one of those poisons is going to come down. Tommy in a very, very comfortable position, not having to play his win condition yet, and taking the damage lead with those poisons, and of course the splash from the Ice Wizard right there. A slight misplay from Oxley.
Final 13 seconds of regulation, and we currently have Tommy ahead by just a little bit, but a lot of Clash Royale yet to be played here in this opening game of King of the Hill.
And now I understand where Oxley probably feels like he's up against the ropes, but he's got to change up his strategy. The RGs are not getting through. That Ice Wizard and Tombstone combo is devastating right now for those Royal Giant pushes. I don't know if he needs to utilize his lightning more, he needs to change lanes, but what he's doing right now is not working.
A little frustration on the little Gur emo out from Tommy, and here we go. Now Oxley getting his Royal Giant started from the back. Before he had to play it early, play it high in order to pick up aggro. Now he'll have time to get to that lightning, hopefully, but he has to play defense against this graveyard.
Yeah, and you think the poison's probably going to come down pretty soon to try to hit the guards, the Barb Barrel, the Furnace, the Fire Spirits. Could get a lot of value here, but a huge push coming in for Oxley.
And can he take care of that Ice Wizard? Does not have enough for the lightning quite yet, so Royal Giant once again not going to get to tower. First minute passing here of overtime, and Tommy still firmly in control.
And I do not believe that Oxley has gotten 1 damage of HP on Tommy's tower since we've hit double elixir time. Now, I may be slightly mistaken, but if there has been any damage, it has not been substantial.
So Oxley continuing to play the E-Wiz in the back on that outside corner in support, and there you go, a lightning, but it does hit the Dark Prince shield rather than doing any more significant damage.
Well, now this is where you wonder if the switch up or the change in strategy for Oxley is to start lightning cycling out, cleaning up those troops to stop the graveyard push coming in, saving his elixir, not trying to put down the RG because the RG is not breaking through.
But here you go, as soon as you say that, RG behind the King Tower again, maybe just forcing Tommy to make some decisions to play against that very heavy, very tanky troop. And again, you're seeing though, take a look at Oxley versus Tommy's leaked elixir, and at this stage, 7 elixir difference, or a 6 elixir and a half difference. That's no joke in a game like this.
No, not at all. And you almost wonder if Tommy would maybe do an aggressive Barb Barrel Graveyard the opposite lane to stop these downhill pushes that Oxley has been kind of putting together every single push. He's being able to put down about 12 elixir every single time because he doesn't have to defend the opposite lane. Another poison coming in, but with 48 seconds left, he's got to do more than just poisoning out. I do not think he will be able to cycle it back around 3 times.
Again, we are in lowest single tower rules, so if he can just stay ahead on damage, Tommy might be able to close this one out and get Oxley off the board in this King of the Hill.
And this is where I think you do an aggressive graveyard, Rich. There it is. Okay, this is the moment. This is the deciding moment right here. He's got to be able to stop this Royal Giant and get at least a couple hits in on that tower because that lightning is going to put him at a disadvantage. RG gets
that NATO,
saving it the whole entire game. The patience, I love it.
Beautiful, and of course that's a standard part of this Splash Yard deck, but saving it until the exact moment. And here we go, 5, 4, poison down.
Where's the lightning? Where's
down.
the lightning? There it is!
And wow,
there
it's
it
just
is!
barely enough!
You knew it was gonna come in.
Oh my gosh!
19 HP difference, and Tommy has to feel like that got stolen from him. A beautiful play from Oxley.
Wow.
King of the Hill, game number 2 coming your way. I really believe that Tommy could have maybe created some opposite lane pressure with a bar barrel and a graveyard, but you know, with the single lowest tower, you don't want to waste Elixir and then be left wanting defensively. So I understand the holding off on that, but he just was running into a wall every single time, Rich.
And no surprises here for Nitram playing a Hog Cycle deck. He does prefer to play fast cycle decks. He plays bait primarily on ladder. Of course, he's created that double Prince graveyard deck that's been going around a while right now, but at the moment, it looks like both players going with Hog Rider Earthquake.
Yeah, it could be a mirror matchup here, and I was actually wondering if Nitram may bust out the Ram Rider making its debut here at CRL West, but it does appear it will be that Hog Rider Earthquake deck. And I think Nitram is recognizing that this is going to be a very, very frustrating match.
Yeah, they both have the Inferno Tower, they both have the Earthquake, so it's gonna be about figuring out how to get your cycle set properly and taking advantage of those big moments.
And who makes the first mistake? And you know that a mistake will probably be made at some point because these are the best in the world. They know how to create pressure in situations that, you know, maybe Oxlade or Nitram have not faced before on ladder.
And Nitram's a fantastic player, but a young player making his debut here in terms of CRL. Oxlade has been on the big stage many times before, so that'll be a question, is how does Nitram react to having the big, bright lights in his eyes?
Yeah, Oxlade now moving his overall CRL record in King of the Hill to 6-5. A really, really great first game for him here today.
Hog Rider picked up by the Inferno Tower, and there we see the Earthquake making some room. Hog Rider will get, I believe, one swing here, taken down by the skeletons, and opposite direction this time, no EQ to pick up that Inferno Tower.
And I really like the aggressive Earthquake there, a pre-Earthquake, if you will, that did pay off, as you said, getting that one swing in, and you know, that one hog swing could be the difference maker.
Into double Elixir time, so the pace should be picking up here and getting really, really aggressive, and there you go. Hog Rider at the river, giant snowball to push it back. Archer not gonna be enough. Bar Barrel though comes in, and Hog Rider does get one huge swing.
Yep, and we are basically even up now. You see that Earthquake coming in once again, still getting the Inferno Tower, having to use a snowball as well. A lot of Elixir spent on the bottom of your screen.
And you see Nitram trying to vary the placement of the Inferno Tower, but still getting picked up by that EQ, now in back-to-back pushes.
Yeah, the range on the Earthquake spell is so very tough to dodge, and so far Oxlade's been doing a great job of taking it out and getting that hog to tower. Now, the hog in the very back here from Oxlade, kind of an interesting play. I don't know if that was a misclick or what, Rich. It seems like not a good use of his win condition.
It does feel like a bit of a misplay there, potentially. As we go into sudden death overtime, he does have the advantage, and now we're going to see as this cycle plays out if that really was a misplay.
And Oxlade here not using his Inferno Tower as freely as Nitram is, I'm starting to think that he might want to start using it because those hogs are getting very, very close every single time.
And it was Oxlade early on getting more of the spell cycle damage onto his opponent's tower. So far now, it's Nitram back in the driver's seat, just slightly ahead. The Hog Rider does get a huge swing, though.
One more hit, that is huge. And you saw Oxlade here playing the Inferno Tower right at the river to stop the Hog Rider in its tracks. Let's see what he does this time on defense.
Giant Snowball, Archers, and Valkyrie Bar Barrel to help. So there you go, varying the defensive plays here is the CCGS North American champion.
And Rich, the reason he's doing this is he's creating counter lane pressure because now he can send a naked Hog Rider down the right lane, and there's just not as much Elixir for Nitram to play defense. Now you see the Inferno Tower comes in, but so does the EQ.
And just barely in time, you can see the Hog Rider on the opposite side of Oxlade's Inferno Tower. So far, he is back in control, down to 1162 as the right-hand tower of Nitram.
Both these guys playing very, very intelligently, but the other one is always one step in front, it seems. But that Inferno Tower not being played by Oxlade once again creates this counter lane pressure, but Nitram can kind of ignore it. There's not going to be enough damage coming in from a Valkyrie and two Archers, Rich.
And there you go, again, the high Inferno Tower this time rather than that low one from the last time out. And there you see a little extra Elixir spent there just to keep that last hog hit off tower, but being behind by a few hundred HP in a tough spot here as we move towards the final minute of gameplay.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Oxlade here, you're going to keep the pressure up with those Hog Riders, but not much more than that. Hog Rider EQ over and over, getting a little bit damage on the tower so that you can conserve your Elixir to play defense, because once again, we are in a lowest tower situation.
Nitram has to do something here, though. He is so far behind, just over 700 HP. He needs to get some shots on this tower. Tries here with a big push. That
No
Hog Rider,
snowball.
whoa, does get a big swing.
Very, very close to evening this up now. One Hog Rider swing and an EQ away from actually taking the lead. Now we see just a spell cycle Earthquake coming in and a snowball. Very, very conservative and aggressive from Oxley.
See, looking at playing that Inferno Tower so far out, not quite far out enough to avoid the Earthquake damage, and that Hog gets a big swing.
Wow, we are separated by 44 HP, 20 seconds coming in. Snowball and Earthquake's gotta be flying, but will another Hog Rider connect on either side?
16 seconds left, all on the line here for Nitram in his CRL debut. Can he steal this one from his opponent? The Earthquake doesn't touch the Inferno Tower!
Wow, and that is gonna be the deciding factor. The snowball comes in, he actually takes the lead! Oxley, he gets the kick in! Wow!
Oxley, wow, back-to-back thievery. Someone put this guy in jail. And here we go. Oxley with a chance to sweep against his former squad, facing off against B-Rad, who cycles an Ice Golem and Snowball early.
And an aggressive bandit at the river, one of my favorite plays out there. Not sure if it always pays off, but it does make your opponent have to respond immediately. And there is the Ram Rider, one of my favorite cards in the game, Rich.
This Ram Rider bridge spam variant has been exceptionally popular lately. You and I both had a chance to play it a fair bit leading into this season, and it's a deck that just has so many options. It doesn't really matter what you bring. It seems like it has a ton of answers.
Well, you just have such a great way of creating aggression on any side of the map for pretty cheap. You can do a naked Hog Rider, or a Ram Rider for 5, excuse me, or you can back up your bandit with even just a Snowball for 5 as well, creating a lot of pressure, making your opponent have to respond.
So here we are, first minute down, and so far Oxley has been on the offensive, but it's B-Rad in just a slight lead. And again, we're seeing Hog Rider, so Cycle Deck's very popular here in this Tribe Dignitas matchup.
And that Hog Rider is not gonna get a swing in. The Ram Rider, a really, really great counter, even with the slight nerf in the slow, from a snare to a slow, not getting a hit in and still creating pressure.
It's gonna be tough. B-Rad has to find ways to out-cycle his opponent, because with the way that Ram Rider moves, to set up with those lightning hits can really be devastating against those Inferno Towers.
Yeah, I mean, being able to play defense with a very, very offensive-centric card, and then the lightning coming in, you've got a 11 elixir push that is gonna do a ton of damage to the tower every single time. And like you said, making that Inferno tower, kind of a null factor.
So here we are heading into double elixir time. Will B-Rad pick up the pace? And that was a missed attempt at a prediction snowball there by Oxley.
Now, I like the idea of what he was going for there, but it just doesn't always land. And now you see the Inferno Tower coming down. Is Oxley just gonna lightning it? What is he gonna do?
Goes opposite lane with the Ram Rider. Look at that, Inferno Tower picks up the P.E.K.K.A, and there comes the lightning, but it's not gonna be enough to make that Ram Rider get on tower. And now Oxa a little bit low here, and there you see the Earthquake come in, trying to defend against this Hog push.
Love that Earthquake. Love seeing how much it's being used here in CRL already. Such a great, great utility card, Rich.
Here we are, 30 seconds remaining, and before we get into our sudden death overtime. And right now, not much separating these two former teammates.
B-Rad has to make sure that he keeps up aggression in the opposite lane of the P.E.K.K.A so that Oxley cannot just stack units behind it. Because right now, with the Lightning and the Bandit and the P.E.K.K.A, he is in a dangerous position.
And look at that Bandit dash, saved a single hit from that Hog Rider in support of the P.E.K.K.A. So really excellent timing for Ox.
Wow, that Bandit is the MVP, Rich. It took the hits from the Inferno Tower, keeping the P.E.K.K.A healthy. The Lightning came in just in time, and now B-Rad is in a dangerous position, having to spend all of his elixir on defense.
That is the benefit of those low-cost cycle cards, able to avoid that P.E.K.K.A damage, but you know he wishes he could have a couple of those elixir drops back.
100%. The Hog Rider just not being able to get through that Ram Rider. Great defensive plays here from Oxley.
Oxley right now 2.5 minutes away from potentially sweeping Tribe Gaming and sending Dignitas into the final 1v1 set. The EQ here not getting much value because while it does slow those troops and do the damage onto the tower, you have no building to target it with.
And unfortunately for B-Rad, he has to keep pushing right into these Pekkas, right into the big offensive pushes from Oxlet because, again, lowest tower situation, he does not have any damage on that left-hand tower, whereas Oxlet has the comfort of dual lane aggression.
And with both towers down under at about 1,000 HP right now for B-Rad, opened up a lot of lanes for Oxlet, so we'll see how he chooses to take advantage of that as we move into our final 2 minutes.
And remember, that lightning is a devastating it factor coming in the last second, adding that much damage, whereas B-Rad does not have a big spell.
Nice Ice Golem there from B-Rad to distract the E-Wiz, and you see the Inferno Tower now doing its job, taking that entire push out.
And you see the preemptive Ram Rider there from Oxlet, knowing that if B-Rad wants to come through, he's got to send a Hawk down that right-hand lane. Lightning comes in to take out the Inferno Tower, and Oxlet may sweep here for Dignitas.
Hog Rider made his way to tower with the EQ, Giant Snowball trying to move it back, and the Hog Rider does get a huge hit. Wow, these games have been so tight so far. Can Oxlet do it one more time? Final minute of Game 3 of King of the Hill.
Lightning got to be coming down relatively soon here. You got to keep those spells up, but you got to also play somewhat conservatively because that's what happened last time. Is he got a little bit too aggressive, and that Hog Rider Ice Golem push came in and did get that swing.
That is a high P.E.K.K.A right now from Oxlet, so forcing a lot of defensive play here, maybe believing that he can spell cycle out. What's his answer going to be to the Hog, though, when it inevitably comes here at the river?
Hog Rider not dropping down Ice Golem out of play. Ram Rider there for defense. This is as close as it gets.
Earthquake cycle slowing down the Hog Rider, doing some significant damage down to 260 right now as Oxlet's right-hand tower. Ram Rider snowballs the wrong way.
We just need a lightning, and this is Oxlet's game. He will sweep.
Oh,
wow.
My gosh.
Oxlet coming out in King of the Hill. What a debut for him in one of the hardest sets. Taking out Tommy, taking out Nitram, and of course, B-Rad falling.
That's a huge opening sweep. You see Frost there doing the super dab. We are going to 1v1. And here we go, making their way into the arena. It's Tommy and Eddie facing off here for the entire match in 1v1. And here we go, Eddie top of your screen, Tommy at the bottom, and Tommy opens up Bar Barrel, and Eddie going Lava Hound.
A very aggressive Bar Barrel at the front, right after some Goblin Kisses, and now the Hog Rider going in the right-hand lane. Exactly what you want to do is creating opposite lane pressure when your opponent drops a tank early on.
And that is an insane amount of damage, down to 1,000 HP essentially. Eddie needs to get back in this one. He's going Lava Clone.
And you know what? It's been said time and time again, Eddie's favorite card in the game is Clone because 2 Eddies are better than 1, and wow, there goes that tower.
Well, that's a whole lot of tiny Eddies, and it looked like he was in a whole lot of trouble, and now he is in a commanding lead here in Game 1.
Tommy had to have felt something drop in his stomach when Eddie did not defend that Hog Rider push, thinking, wow, he must be saving his elixir for something huge, and boy, did he. That was a brutal push and a masterful clone.
And who expects Lava Clone right now? Right, Lava Clone was so popular a few months ago, but Lava Clone kind of has fallen out of favor. But here you go, Eddie taking a massive lead here and putting his team one step closer to opening up the season with a victory.
And Tommy now has to push right into the Eddie. Eddie's going to only play on the right side of the map. You know, he's already taken the left-hand tower down, and you don't really want to play into your opponent as a Hog Rider player. You want to create opposite lane pressure, as I said before.
Tommy, though, is a fantastic player, so will he make some adjustments to get it back? Look, 835, that tower now down at 779. That tower certainly could fall, so it's not like Tommy is totally out on this side of the map.
Yeah, and every time one of those furnaces come down, Tommy is going to respond with an Earthquake, getting a little bit of damage in on the tower and also stopping those pesky Fire Spirits.
And that furnace is Eddie's best response to pick up that Hog Rider. So there you see, choosing to just let that tower go, not fight it too far anymore, and just build up this this push.
And the cat's out of the bag. There's no surprise clone now. Tommy is going to be able to adjust accordingly. This is a huge push. Let's see how he defends.
And so far, we do not see a giant snowball, and it does come in, but that's a very late snowball. That's going to be tower down.
That is another tower down. What a great play from Tilted Eddie. Tommy already knows that this game one is gone. There is no way for him to catch up, Rich. Is this going to be a 3 crown?
It very certainly could be. Andrew down to under 500. That's it. Eddie takes the first game, and now he is 1 game away from putting Dignitas in the win column to start CRL West.
If you blinked, you might have missed it. Game 2 coming your way. And a really rough matchup there for Tommy.
Tommy has to get back in this one to keep Tribe's dream alive. Let's get into game number 2.
Dignitas 1 game away from the reverse sweep on the backs of Oxlade and Tilted Eddie. Amazing plays. And you know what? Honestly, I'm so impressed by being able to keep your cool after the rough start in 2v2.
Yeah, and this would be a big statement here for Dignitas to come out and open the season with a win. So you got to wonder, what kind of nerves is Eddie feeling right now in this moment?
So Dark Goblin coming down with EQ. Maybe Royal Giant Furnace.
So playing a little slower this time is Eddie. No opening big time pushes. So far eating a little bit of damage here, but dealt some himself as well.
And those games that you lose like that, Rich, it's so frustrating. You get caught once off guard. You're not expecting the clone, and Eddie just doing a great job of utilizing it to the utmost. I mean, when that Hog Rider went in on that first push, I was wondering what was going on, and now we know.
And there goes Eddie throwing his Royal Giant up behind tower very early. And there you go, Barbarians are gonna eat that Royal Giant very quickly. And no real response, I believe, for Eddie to that card. So this could be an interesting challenge for him to deal with as we get further in the game. And of course, Barbarians in response here from Eddie as well.
Yeah, but that's a real tough defense for Eddie. Those barbs already surrounding Tommy's own Royal Giant, creating a lot of space to get a bunch of hits in, taking a commanding lead.
So heading into double elixir time, it's a pretty significant lead here for Tommy, and of course he wants to get this win, send us to game number 3. And as we look at these two decks, you gotta wonder that difference in particular of the Dart Goblin. There's not really anything, I guess the Bar Barrel is a good response, but can't get to that deep Dart Goblin behind a push, so we'll wonder if we're gonna see Eddie utilizing that effectively behind these RGs.
And I love the buff that came on the Musketeer and the Barbarians. I love seeing the Barbarians used more and more in competitive play. They're such a fun card, they're such a powerful card, but they're also easy to counter with a quick spell or with an AoE splash damage unit, whether it's a Mega Knight, what have you.
So Bar Barrel again countering that Musketeer, and there you see the Dart Goblin way behind.
Nothing.
So we'll see.
I was going to say, nothing to get through to that Dart Goblin for Tommy. He probably has Lightning maybe in the back, some large spell since he hasn't used it yet.
And there you go, one big shot from the Royal Giant here, 14 seconds left in regulation time.
And that is when those Dark Goblins get so frustrating, Rich, just sitting way in the back doing insane amounts of damage per second. And here we go, another big aggressive push from Tilted Eddie coming in. Will he get a hit on that tower? Most likely no.
You've got to imagine that Tommy's running Lightning here, although, of course, we haven't seen it yet. But the hard part is, if you look at Eddie's deck, there's a lot of cards that make it difficult to use Lightning between the minions and the Barbarians. And then again, a very little value you get for the Dart Goblin comparatively to other big cards. So maybe he hasn't found a great place to put that Lightning yet.
I couldn't agree with you more, Rich. If I'm Tommy, I want my Lightning to hit the Furnace, the Tower, and the Dart Goblin. The Dart Goblin is such a menacing card. It is a great trade there, but you see Tilted Eddie spreading out just enough, and that is the moment you might want to play the Lightning, but he's got to play defense.
Snowball comes in, and the EQ as well, slowing down those Barbarians. That's a lot of damage. 2 huge Royal Giant shots.
That is massive for Tilted Eddie, and here we go. Tommy has got to keep up the aggression. He's got to get some damage on that tower. 2 minutes left to play, but only 500 HP separates him and a Dignitas win.
Royal Giant, Baby Dragon behind again as the Barbarians down. The Baby Dragon and Barb Barrel combination does wipe them out, but not quickly enough. The Royal Giant gets nothing on tower, although there's a couple big Baby Dragon belches there on the left-hand side.
Yeah, the Baby Dragon does not do an insane amount of damage, but the health behind the Baby Dragon when it does connect to your tower is always a nuisance. A really, really fortunate connection there for Tommy. What is his last card, Rich? It's driving me crazy.
It's got to be Lightning, and you understand why he hasn't used it yet to a certain degree, but at some point, Eddie might realize that he can play good enough defense to win this thing on a spell cycle. Right now, just trying to keep any extra hit points off that tower.
Yeah, if I'm Eddie, I'm just going to use Earthquakes when I can and Snowballs when I can. And Tommy already saying that the game is over.
Yeah, we have not seen any spell cycle from Eddie. I'm a little surprised, just trying to hold on. And again, I think if we do see an RG get through, and that's going to be his gameplay right here, is just don't let RG get through. There you go, the Earthquake down, and we're just going to see a Snowball EQ maybe here, although he does have to be very careful.
Yeah, and you understand the frustration there from Tommy not being able to Lightning what we wanted, but you got to at least try once, right? You got to hit the Furnace, the Dark Goblin, the tower at least one time. Tommy feeling very, very frustrated. Matchup, what have you. Tilted Eddie, Dignitas takes the day. That is it. I am so impressed with Dignitas today.
Unbelievable play. Of course, there was the King of the Hill sweep by Oxlet, but then you have Eddie coming out and taking Tommy out in decisive fashion, and that's something that I don't think anyone called going into the season.
No.
That's a huge win. And again, they talked about how last season their training regimen wasn't that precise, wasn't that dialed in, and Frost mentioned before today's match that that was the biggest shift, was making those changes to how they prepared for the season, and it pays off here with a day one win for these guys.
And you see the sportsmanship here down on the field. I just got to go back to what you said before about Eddie playing ladders secretly, and look at the work paying off. I mean, he came into CRL Season 1 with, honestly, people were really looking forward to him being such a show at the Combine. He kind of fell flat in Season 1. We understand that, but wow, what a day for him, and what a great way to start your season.
Let's head down to the floor where Rachel is standing by with our winners.
Thank you guys so much. An exciting match here, a great win for Dignitas. I'm here with Eddie. I want to know what went through your mind, so much pressure on that last match.
Yeah, I was just praying he wouldn't use the first deck he used against Ox, because it hard counters both my decks. I thought he would presumed that that he'd use the same deck, or that he wouldn't use the same deck. So I was just playing the mind games. Luckily, I won, but I think the MVP of today is Ox.
Ox, I got to give you a chance to talk here too. A straight sweep through King of the Hill. So many different decks, but you responded perfectly to each of them. How did you prepare?
Yeah, so it was a super intense matchup. A lot of people know me to play a lot of minor control and graveyard, so I wanted to make sure I didn't play any of those decks. So I think deck diversity was the biggest thing for me.
Hey, Ox, Eddie, I want to know, we only had a little bit of time for you guys to get your roster locked in for you all to practice together. How did you manage this level of synergy?
To be honest,
we moved in last week, so we really didn't have too much time, but we made use of it, and yeah.
And would you say your competitive experience is a bit of a factor here?
yeah, definitely. I'm a lot less nervous than I was with my previous team, but I'm still very, very nervous.
Yep, same. Agreed.
Well, glad to see you guys pulling through and taking home that victory. We're going to go to a quick break, but when we get back, lots more Clash Royale.
Coming up next, we've got Fnatic going up against Team Queso. And look at these guys. They are so excited. We have got some newcomers to both teams, and I cannot imagine the excitement on the floor today, Rich.
Queso, a big shift here, maybe one of the biggest stories, European champions last season. So King moving away to SK Gaming, losing St. Belican. They still have their 2v2 pair, Benihu and Kuchiku, but now adding in Dark Angel and the Frenchman from Liquid last season in Azealis.
Yeah, Azealis hopping around from team to team, and this seems to be a very, very strong roster. I can't wait to see what their 2v2 duo is, knowing that Kuchi and Benny are their stars. On the other side of this, we have Fnatic, and their only returning member is Asuchini, the Sparky legend.
But they are adding some big heavyweights here in small packages. Of course, Faye from G2, one of the best players in Europe. But then you add in Javi 14, Javi 14, who just blew everybody away at World Finals and nearly carried them to a championship. And don't forget their new addition, Mikel 04.
Yeah, this is going to be a game for the ages, Rich.
let's kick things off here. A massive 2v2 battle. And look at these lineups. Kuchiku and Benny, no big surprise there for Team Queso. But across from them, kind of a shocker here, it's Faye and Javi.
I could not agree more with you, Rich. I mean, Faye and Javi are the 1v1 specialists, or at least in my mind, they were the 1v1 specialists of Fnatic, so there must be something up Asuchini and Mikhail04's sleeve, but Benny and Kuchi are the 2v2 duo that Queso knows is their strongest, and, you know, they really showed it last season. These guys are all-stars when it comes to this format.
Yeah, Kuchi and Benny do work exceptionally well together, and of course, I remember Faye from playing with his brother Sheer last season, of course teammates of Canario as well. They were one of the best teams in Europe over there at G2. Now Faye here with Fnatic, but again, this pairing of Javi and Faye, you know, maybe they're just putting proper importance on the 2v2 set. Maybe they think they're gonna take it in 2 sets in 2v2 and King of the Hill, or maybe they think that that Mikhail and Asuchini match up well against Dark Angel and Azealis.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many possibilities. We do have 2 Mega Knights on the floor already. The P.E.K.K.A there is kind of a troubling counter, really. And I honestly have no idea what the thought process is here, so I cannot wait to get to the King of the Hill set or the 1v1. But first, let's see how these guys fare in 2v2.
And something we didn't see last season, Ram Rider, because she didn't exist yet. But here we go, Ram Rider in 2v2. And this is a massive shift away from what we've seen so far in this 2v2 set. Haven't seen a Golem yet, haven't seen a Lava Hound yet, and most importantly, I have not seen a Royal Giant yet.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And look at this, we got 3 Ram Riders on the field. I mean, still a possibility for 4. Not likely, but 3 already on the field. 2 Mega Knights. Very, very curious to see what the synergy is, or the mentality behind the synergy is for these teams.
Well, we didn't see a lot of Mega Knight last season either in 2v2, so this is again, some really interesting things opening up, and you wonder whether it's the ban situation that's changed some elements where you think maybe you want to run something a little bit different here, or maybe there's something else that they just want to try out.
And a double Mega Knight dropped on the left side of the field. Let's see how Team Queso fares against this.
You gotta wonder if that was an intentional double Mega Knight in that situation. It did its job defensively, but that's also 14 elixir spent to one side very quickly.
Yeah, and it cleaned up by 9. That's a -5 elixir trade. Is not what you want to see. You see the Ice Spirit coming in to distract the Lumberjack. The Musketeer in the lane to support the P.E.K.K.A. Really, really great plays all the way across the board from Queso. I mean, Fnatic's playing well too, but Queso really cleaned that up.
Ram Rider not going to connect, but Fireball will get some decent value there on the back end.
Does miss the Baby Dragon, but does not matter. Musketeer gets 1 shot in because she's raged up.
So solid lead for the pair, Kuchiku and Benny, who as we go in to sudden death overtime.
And the communication between Kuchi and Benny is one of the things that's really going to stand out. You know, these guys have so much competitive play experience, and they know exactly how to work with each other in this 2v2 set.
Mega Knight supported by the E-Wiz on the left-hand side, but I mean, P.E.K.K.A's just right there, wondering if they can slow it down enough. And here we go, Ram Rider push opposite lane.
Ram Rider on Ram Rider, Lumberjack there to clean it up, but the Mega Knight comes down, stomps on both of them, and we will have a decent counter push here from the Mega Knight with no P.E.K.K.A to beat it, I don't believe, unless they cycled all the way back around.
Miner to the back of the tower, and Skeleton's a bit late. There we go, Tornado King Tower activation. Another note here, taking a look at Fnatic's deck, not a single Tornado anywhere in there.
Yeah, they've got the Poison and they've got the Lightning for their big spells, but no Tornado to bring all things together, despite the amount of units they have that do splash damage.
And you just kind of think that the Tornado is going to be everywhere, at least in one of 16 cards, because of its utility, and that was a big assumption people made about 2v2 due to the no ban situation. But here again, we're seeing something different. Now, the question is, does that actually work?
Wow, and a very effective bomb tower coming in. I believe that Ram Rider will not connect. No, it does not. And that P.E.K.K.A somehow survives through all that. What great defense from Team Queso.
Brilliant skeletons there to keep every piece of that E-Wiz damage off of tower, getting that split between that and the Musketeers. Very nice work by Queso.
We got a Ram Rider Lumberjack push coming in here that will rage up the Ram Rider, and there may be a connection. Wow, the Mega Knight comes in and stops right in her tracks.
So here we go, 2 Mega Knights, both fairly healthy, crossing the river, followed by a Dark Prince and Miner to the safe spot. And that's a few big swings from the miner there.
100%. That miner getting tanked for by the Mega Knight, forcing the Musketeer to be dropped in the back. Team Queso having a really hard time breaking through right now, and the Mega Knight providing such great defensive capability and offensive utility.
Mega Knight drops finishes off the Musketeer, and now tanking for this Ram Rider. We're gonna do a little Ram dance here, but lightning down. That should be a connection. This is gonna be tower down.
Missed the NATO from Team Queso. Fnatic coming out strong.
Wow, that one. You can see Betty and Kuchi seem like they're okay with it. You can see them communicating there at the end, but kind of a strange, crazy turn of events. It seemed like they had it sewn up. Fnatic came roaring back.
You know, Rich, you said it at the top of the match. Maybe Fnatic is planning on taking this in 2 sets because Javi and Faye can still play in King of the Hill. And if they take this 2v2 set, they've got all 4 of their superstars ready to go.
That's crazy to think about. They could just wipe through you that quickly. And we have seen Javi 14 do stuff like that time and again.
Yeah, and Kuchiku and Benny, who, like you said, they looked pretty confident in what happened there. They didn't seem too bothered by the way that first game went. But they need to take this 2v2 set. That is their bread and butter. They are the best at it.
And they have 2 players in Dark Angel who we haven't seen at this level yet, even though he's a very talented young player who's had some great finishes over in Europe with GamerG and the Red Bull MEO, not to mention the Moreno Cup and BGW, where he's had some great performances, kind of making his name this last season. And then you have Azelius, who some people consider, at least at one time, one of the best in the world, who there have been some questions whether he's at his best right now.
Yeah, and you know, we've spoken to the coaches, we've spoken to Azelius, and he is apparently refocused. He's all back in on the game, ready to go, and feeling confident as ever.
Well, we still have a lot of 2v2 left to be played. Fnatic in a pretty comfortable position right now. And look at this, switching it up. And we're going to the skies right now. Skeleton Barrel in 2v2.
Skeleton Barrel is actually one of my favorite cards in the game. And in 2v2, I just love it because it really does bait out a spell if necessary. You know, it's one of those things you can sneak behind a tank and come in and drop and do an insane amount of damage. Or if you just need to distract an air unit, as you just saw.
So here we go, Golem backed by Prince, right lane. Lightning comes in, it'll be enough to get some Golemite death damage on tower, and here we have Team Queso again out to an early lead.
Yeah, one of the biggest, not complaints in the game, but one of the things that people talk about in the community is those Golemites are devastating. Still, even after the big Golem goes down, those Golemites hurt. Freeze comes in.
Graveyard Freeze, and look at that, Tornado does a good job of mitigating a lot of the potential damage there.
So as long as Kuchi and Benny play very, very conservatively with that Tornado, and if Faye and Javi continue to stack Skeleton Barrels with the Graveyards, that NATO is going to be such a great defensive tool for them to clean up all those skeletons.
So interesting Graveyard Freeze combination here from Fnatic. We've seen Graveyard Freeze in 2v2 a lot last season, but it was typically Golem Graveyard Freeze, where they had that really big tank in front. They don't have that same size tank, at least we haven't seen one yet, not like it might be their final card. So very curious to see this faster variation that seems more 1v1 focused being played in 2v2.
And here's the thing, they've already got that tower down at 953 HP, but this is the moment where Kuchi and Benny come in. That poison coming down just a hair too early, not being able to catch the Inferno tower. Lightning comes in to do the rest of the work though.
Bandits down, defensive freeze now. Sorry, Rascal's down, defensive freeze, and they were able to clean up a whole lot of that damage as we move into double elixir time. Fnatic still with a slight lead, and this is an interesting combination now, the Skeleton Barrel mixed with the Graveyard.
Yep, and you see the defensive poison, the offensive poison coming down to add an additional bit of damage to that tower. Team Queso trying to build a big push using the Lumberjack to clean up the Skeletons, but it might be too little too late, Rich.
Fnatic at a position where they could just play defense and get close to spell cycling, and there we go, giant snowball. So they don't have a second big spell to really chunk down that left-hand tower. So we might need to see at least one more Graveyard push.
Yeah, and that's the last thing you want to do is find that your opponent has figured out how to stop your offensive push and then create these massive Golem pushes. And eventually those spells are going to line up correctly for Team Queso. So Fnatic needs to put this one away, and they need to put it away right now, and this might be the moment.
One more Graveyard Freeze push. They do not get the Lumberjack, but it doesn't matter. That is it. Fnatic takes the opening sweep in 2v2.
Sweeping Team Queso, the legends of 2v2, Faye and Javi 14. We apologize for what we may have said at the beginning of the match.
marker there to open up. Fnatic taking 2v2 and really in surprising fashion.
Yeah.
And some different decks there. That Skeleton Barrel combination with the Graveyard. There's so many places you have to look to deal with that.
Yeah, I love it. You know, it's something that you can kind of keep up with for a little bit, but as the game goes on and the elixir flows faster, it's so hard to keep track of when to use your spells and how to use your spells. Do I use it for the Skeleton Barrel? Do I save something for the freeze? What about the Graveyard? And honestly, it was just masterfully played by Faye and Javi Catorce to make it so that their opponents, who were some of the best in the world, had to keep picking and choosing, and they picked wrong.
And now we're going into King of the Hill, where you better bet you're going to be facing Faye and Javi both one more time. So, you know, what do you roll out against two guys who can play that well? And after winning 2v2, which Javi didn't do much last season, you have to imagine that right now he is feeling on top of the world and just as confident as he felt back in Tokyo in December.
And Javi is the king of riding momentum. But up first, we've got Azelis coming back out against Faye, who is gotta be, as you said, feeling great.
Azili is a big off-season move, of course. Last season was with the powerhouse team Liquid, and now has moved over here to Queso, filling a very important gap that has been sort of left by the loss of Soking and St. Belican.
Yes, yes, and so we have a Flying Machine out for Faye and a Bar Barrel and Lumberjack out for Azelis.
Yeah,
I already love what I'm seeing here. We haven't seen Flying Machine much recently, and we haven't seen Skarmy unless you're a 3600 player.
Well, you do when it's attached to this Lava Hound deck, so
That
this
is
is going to
true.
be very, very annoying for Azelis. There's a lot of ways that, you know, looks like Azelis is most likely playing the Royal Giant variant with Lumberjack instead of guards. So there's going to be some frustration there, especially with that Skarmy being a little deep on occasion.
And the clone comes in. You drop the clone on top of the Lumberjack and the bats, creating a ton of pressure. It makes so the Ewiz has to be played to clean that up. But now you've got a healthy Lava Hound that's about to pop with clones behind it. Wow.
Look, get some solid damage out of it, a good 500-ish or so, and cleans up a lot of those troops, and still with a slight elixir lead as well. So Faye off to a hot start here.
Yeah, very, very well played defense by Azelis, still losing about 1,000 HP on his left-hand tower. And as you said, a slight elixir disadvantage, so that really went Faye's way.
Well, this is, again, rough for Azelis in a couple ways, playing Royal Giant, because there are two cards that frustratingly counter that Royal Giant. The Lumberjack, of course, can chip it down so fast, but then that Skarmy can be played sort of out of sync with that Bar Barrel. The Bar Barrel does not go as deep. Now, you have to play the Skarmy high to pick up the Royal Giant, but still, it's one of those ones he has to keep an eye on as well.
And that Flying Machine was so nicely played by Faye to pick out that Furnace. Really frustrating for Azelis because the Furnace provides so much utility. Lumberjack on the tower. Lava Hound's still there. Snowball comes in. This is a lot to take in for Azelis, and that Belch is coming down.
Wow, this might be tower down here, and it is. Faye takes the first tower of King of the Hill, 45 seconds left, and Azelis pretty much hasn't touched anything, and now he's gonna Royal Giant in the back, onto that same side, and hope he can find a way through to this tower.
Yeah, but now you got this Flying Machine playing on the opposite side of the map. No tower to shoot at it. So frustrating for Azelis, I'm sure, is this start to this set.
And there, look at that, the defensive clone, those double Lumberjacks just eating that Royal Giant alive. Faye says good game. Everyone knows it's good game.
Wow.
It would be amazing right now. And look at that, though. You do see the Skarmy go down pretty quickly, but you just can't imagine, especially with the final 10 seconds here, that there's going to be any comeback available.
And you know what? This is a great push by Azelis coming in. Oh my gosh! He got it. I was going to say he might be able to get through, but it didn't seem like there was enough time. The lightning comes in, and we are back at even. Faye getting a little too confident.
Wow, that is really, really unbelievable. We all were pretty confident there that there was no way through, and maybe Faye took his foot off the gas for a second there. Now look, I do like Faye in the second situation, although things change with the ability to put that Royal Giant in the pocket.
Yeah, it is a devastating move to put the Royal Giant in the pocket, and he's smart enough now to not get too aggressive. Azelis doesn't need to get too aggressive right now. He can play strong defense, kind of get his footing back, Rich, get even with Faye, and then in turn maybe take this game.
I don't know, that's a lot coming down that right-hand lane, and it's all raged up here. Can that Flying Machine get on tower? The Fire Spirits will take care of the Baby Dragon, but Flying Machine, that's gonna be a lot of damage as we are deep into sudden death overtime.
And you have to imagine the experience under Azelis' belt was what kept him cool in that moment, being like, you know what, I got 3 seconds, I can still take a tower down and even this game up.
And that's a kind of early, very aggressive clone there from Faye. And you can see that pretty much all of that gets stymied. He's going to get some damage here on the back end, but still, that was a pretty hardcore clone play. They're a little early, I'd say.
Yeah, and Azili's doing a very, very good job of holding on to his E-Wiz to drop on top of the real Lava Hound, not the cloned Lava Hound, knowing that those, those cloned minions are going to be going down quick lava puffs.
Oh no, misses the bar barrel pickup, and that's a ton of damage from the flying machine. That's the frustrating part. We'll talk about this all season.
Yeah.
The bar barrel can sometimes be just a half step late getting the pickups that you want.
And the flying machine is one of the most frustrating cards mechanically to pick up. Its range is so deceiving, it's so awkward to play against.
And here we go. Will this flying machine get on tower again? Yes, it does. That's going to be it. Faye almost gave it up, got it back. Really, really great play here for the Fnatic new edition.
Yeah, he starts using those clones early on to create a bigger push. Really, really strong showing. 3 up and 3 down for Faye.
And up next here for Queso, a CRL debut once more. It's Dark Angel, who has had some really fantastic showings in the European scene.
Yeah, I mean, he's really made a name for himself over the last year and a half. He talked about his accolades early on, but Faye coming to play in the most recent Moreno Cups. He has been beating J Monty, beating Wen, Wings, and Tommy. So I think he's really been hitting the training field, if you will.
Well, Faye's been a fantastic player for a very long time, of course, and Dark Angel, this would be a nice feather to add to his cap. And look at that, Faye opening up, Sparky in the back.
Yep, you imagine Sparky means Goblin Giant Sparky. That's basically the only iteration we see with Sparky anymore, and Dark Angel confidently plays the P.E.K.K.A. knowing the Goblin Giant's going to come down in front of it.
So Dark Angel does really like P.E.K.K.A. bridge spam, and here he goes playing it in his CRL debut up against Goblin Giant Sparky, as you said.
That increase in range has made that card so devastating. You think it's out of range, you think it's going to go down, but nope. Sparky shot off, tower gone.
And here we go, classic dual lane pressure from the P.E.K.K.A. bridge spam deck. Not going to get a connection there. Guards pick it up fairly easily. And I do really like the Hunter variant of the Goblin Giant Sparky deck.
As do I. Hunter is one of my favorite cards in the game. I think it's such a great stop to the Hog Rider, to the Battle Ram, to the Bandit, all these quick attack cards. And then, of course, it is a tank killer as well, Rich.
And this is twice now that Bandit has had some decent success on the right-hand side. First time catching the Sparky, second time getting a dash on tower. So nice early damage here from Dark Angel.
Dark Angel going all in on this push. I was going to say, you got to imagine those minions are going to come down, but they were dropped a little too early. You want the Mega Minion to actually target the P.E.K.K.A. first, and now that E-Wiz has to come in.
And that E-Wiz stymied a lot of that, but that's going to be a healthy Sparky still alive.
That Sparky's still alive. You got to maybe drop the Bandit. There you go. Bandit dash should stop the shot. Very, very nice defense from Dark Angel. Just barely getting away with one, Rich.
Beautiful, that Bandit dash. When she is in that dash mode, it's just so frustrating when you think you've caught it just in time, but she gets there, and especially against Sparky, so nice.
And the Sparky shot will connect just a second. Oh, wow, just in time.
Woo, just saved that tower, but a lot of Barbarian damage, and now Dark Angel out to a nice lead on both sides.
And this is one of those moments where Dark Angel has to find a way to use the utility of his E-Wiz to stop that Sparky and apply a counter push with his P.E.K.K.A. He's having a really hard time taking that Sparky out of play. Zap comes down, there's the E-Wiz.
Royal Ghost gets distracted for a minute, and now a second Sparky in the back. It's Trash Can City, people.
Again, he cannot seem to get to these Sparkies. Dark Angel having a really hard time. Faye doing a beautiful job defending and protecting his Sparky. That's gonna connect.
You see just the way that Sparky is surrounded. And look, even with that one going down, the damage has been done at 460. That was a massive connection.
Look, you've got E-Wiz, you've got Zap, and you've even got Bandit. You got P.E.K.K.A. to counter the Goblin Giant. Dark Angel is in a really tough position because he's not able to utilize the cards the way that they're supposed to be used in this sense. Bandit dash in.
That's a nice connection. The question is that too little, too late? Guards to surround the Sparky, create some room. And nice timing on the E-Wiz.
There we go. The E-Wiz stays alive just long enough. Royal Ghost will clean that. Wow!
Wow, Royal Ghost just in time to save tower. We are in sudden death overtime. No mistakes are available right now for Dark Angel.
And look at the heads-up play from Fade. Recognizing the battle ram in the back. All right, fine. I'll play a Sparky on the right side. We'll clean all this up, and I'll continue to harass the left side. The Hunter, untouched, just in time.
Wow, Bandit just barely picks the Hunter up, and now aggressive Goblin Giant at the bridge, followed up by the Barb Barrel. Will this be enough? We'll get at least one Goblin Giant poke there on that tower. A second one probably not in the books, down to 314. Sparky connects on the right-hand side.
Zap's got to come in. What a beautiful play, using the Giant so aggressively, knowing that E-Wiz has to come in to stop it. Snowball comes down. Faye doing it once again for Fnatic.
Man, you think about how much time Faye missed last season for G2, and yes, they made the playoffs. They had a fantastic run during European season last year, but you gotta wonder if he had been present the entire time, how that might have impacted that squad. Well, guess what? We can see the impact right now here for Fnatic.
I was frustrated for Dark Angel out there because of that Sparky. Wow.
We find ourselves, Andrew, in such a strange place because something we pretty much never encountered last season, that I'm shocked to encounter here, we are one game away, not just from a Queso loss, but from a 5 straight game Queso sweep.
It's absolutely insane, and it's all on the shoulders of Faye. And right now, Benihoo has to take out Faye, Mikhail04, and Javi Catorce just to go to the next set, Rich.
That's so insane. I mean, even if you can get through Faye and Mikhail, going through Javi on the back end of all of that, who you know is feeling just as confident as his partner right now, that's a tall order.
Yeah. Yeah, and Benny here coming out with a Bar Barrel and a Baby Dragon. Could be Royal Giant, could be Graveyard. Could be a lot of things. And yep.
Yeah, there you go. It's one of those things where you see Barb Barrel, when you're doing deck research, you're like, oh, this deck also has Barb Barrel, this deck also has Baby Dragon. Let me guess, is there a Mega Minion somewhere in there?
You know what's so funny is the Baby Dragon just kind of popped up onto the scene again like several months ago, and it kind of just fell out of the meta, but it must be all the cards around it that is supported. Wow. Just eating that Lumberjack to put the P.E.K.K.A down in the back. The reason here now is that there's mostly air cards to support Faye's push with the Lava Hound. They're going to have a hard time stopping this P.E.K.K.A on the ground.
So here we go, and that's going to be a lot of lava, and we have seen so much lava clone. I am really surprised by how much of that we've seen so far.
And you know what? That was played very, very well by Benihoo. That P.E.K.K.A, wow, and that has got to be so frustrating for Benihoo after playing such masterful defense and creating a counter push. Skarmy comes down.
Skarmy Army takes you down, and we are at the midway point of regulation time, and Lumberjack will do a number, but not enough to stop that Ram Rider from connecting on tower.
And you see the frustrating decision that Faye had to make here in snowballing back the E-Wiz, because if that E-Wiz stays alive, it keeps stunning and resetting the tower onto the Ram Rider, eventually taking it down on that one push.
So here we are, getting ready to go into double elixir time, and it is Benihoo in the lead, but still a lot more left to be played here.
Lumberjack comes in, does connect, 2-3, tower down. I love it. I love plays like that. He knew what was in cycle. He knew that Skarmy was not back in cycle, so what does he have? Nothing.
And look at this, going P.E.K.K.A in the back to the opposite lane. Gonna play defense on the right side, but he knows at some point that Faye has to spend elixir. And it's probably, let's be honest, it's probably gonna be the Skarmy, because what are the other options that he has?
Yep, which means that Benihoo has to cycle back around to the snowball and save it. And honestly, he wants to keep this tower alive. It's not going to happen, so that P.E.K.K.A does need to connect, or else it was just a bad decision. Skarmy comes down late, no snowball in time, and we are even up, Rich.
He had plenty of elixir, maybe just didn't want to get caught doing sort of a silly snowball prediction. And there was the mind game there.
Is the
Skarmy coming? Yep. Is the snowball coming? Is it play? And that's one of those ones where you've seen so many times. You want to get slick, you throw the snowball, and it just hits
nothing. And you're like, wow, there goes 2 elixir, and I look like an idiot.
And nice early clone here. The E-Wiz does connect up a lot of that, but it's going to die very fast.
Yeah, it gets inhaled by those troops. The flying machine staying alive in the back, forced to use the lightning because that flying machine is such a menace.
And we are going to get some more damage here. Not a lot on tower at 851 still. Lumberjack will get one swing, no more than that.
wonder if we'll see a P.E.K.K.A in the pocket ever. No, probably not. You gotta hold on to that snowball for that clone.
So we do have 2 Lava Hounds on tower and now some pups as well. Ewiz does come in.
Yeah, and this could be the push, Rich. This is the push that needs to be huge for Benny, oh, a great bar barrel, and now Faye is in trouble. Look at this push coming in.
Oh my word.
That's
Lumberjack. Yeah, this should be it here. Lumberjack on tower, Ewiz on tower as well. And there you go, Benny who just took one back for Team Queso.
Faye could only last for so long. Benny who playing incredible defense, keeping it all together, and we saw it slowly unfolding. There was not enough in the deck of Faye to stop that push.
The decision-making of Benny, who in the situation, Andrew, got the first tower down and then knew his tower was going down on the right-hand side. When the lava came, P.E.K.K.A to the opposite lane and just created a lot of chaos and disruption for the plan of his opponent, Faye. And now he moves on to face off against Mikkel here in the 4th game of King of the Hill.
Yeah, Mikkel is known for playing a lot of control jacks, and he was #1 on ladder last year. Let's see if that translates over to competitive play against someone who has had so much experience when it counts in Benny Who.
And here you see P.E.K.K.A. I believe that when Mikkel hit #1 on ladder, that it was with a P.E.K.K.A bridge spam deck, the classic version. So we do see P.E.K.K.A out quickly to pick up the miner. I'm wondering if that's what he's playing in this case.
And I also wonder if Benny Who was expecting P.E.K.K.A. I mean, that is his go-to, you know, meta.
So here goes. It's actually P.E.K.K.A Ram Rider, which you've seen a ton of already. And this looks like, let's see, we see Miner, we see Musketeer. This could be the Miner Balloon version.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking it could be. And then Mikkel might just be rocking what we just saw Benny Who play.
So here we are. Team Queso needs, and there you go. It is the Miner Balloon deck.
Wow, Baby Dragon turns around. That is very unfortunate. Now Mikkel forced to use a lot of extra elixir on something, wasting essentially that Ewiz.
And look at the way he protects up high with the Ice Golem to give the Musketeer room to do damage. And that's an Ewiz, a Bandit, and now a Baby Dragon. Unfortunately, just close enough to let those Belters hit tower, but still a lot of utility out of that 2-card combination.
Yeah, something's going to come down to stop this Musketeer.
Bar barrel. So here we are, halfway through our regulation time, and
you look at the top of the screen, a lot of elixir being wasted. 2.5 elixir just wasted in that moment. Mikkel did not know what to do and also did not want to waste an important card. You know how bad it is when you have something out of cycle against a balloon deck. They just take a tower like that, Rich.
Yeah, that was probably a cycle choice more than anything else.
Yep. And you know, we've heard pros talk about it many, many times. Sometimes it's better to waste a couple elixir than it is to cycle something that you may need 5 seconds later.
And here we go, Musketeer to the right, and now we have Balloon aggressive on the left-hand side. And that's a nice use of the Bar Barrel. It's going to soak up a little bit of that Ewiz damage. I don't think it's going to be enough. Oh, wow, we might get a connection. We do!
That was one of the best plays I've seen in a while. I did not think that Balloon had a chance ever making it to the tower. Miner comes in, Bar Barrel comes in. What a great play.
Wow, and Benny Who just playing some slick defense here. And again, going back to that balloon play, the Bar Barrel doing just enough to give that balloon room to get on tower.
You know, we've been told by Furrier many, many times that Benny Who is one of the most overlooked head-to-head players in CR because he's been surrounded by so many all-stars for so long. Look at the plays he's making, Rich.
Well, there's a reason why he's a European champion, and it's not because he had So King and Saint Belican and Anthony and Kuchiku. It's because he's a player who deserves to be in that position.
Yes, I could not agree more. Ram Rider coming in to stop that balloon in its tracks, not going to get to the tower, not going to get death damage. Snowball comes in to stop the Ram Rider. Really great plays from both these guys.
Nice value on the Lightning there as well. We are 15 seconds into sudden death overtime, and while Benny Who does have a lead, it is not a significant one.
Yeah, but you know, we talk about the balloon over and over, and the quick cycle capability of the deck at the bottom of the screen. It's just so frustrating to go against. You see P.E.K.K.A in the back? Yep, I was gonna say, you gotta go balloon opposite lane.
Doesn't get the connection with the Bandit on the left-hand side, although does get a couple swings here. The Ram Rider and the Ewiz, will they be enough to stop a connection? And just barely. So you gotta wonder here, Mikel probably knew that Balloon was going to come down that lane. How much of that was a conscious choice that he knew he had a defensive plan for that side?
Yeah, and look at the kiting abilities to stop this Mama P.E.K.K.A. She's just going for a walk, going for a stroll. Looked like for a minute there she was going to get to the tower. With the skeletons and the ice golem coming down, no way, no how.
And this time, Ram Rider gonna stop that balloon for a minute, but it's gonna get away here. That balloon not going to, wow, look at how long the stun is, not gonna get on tower.
Wow, and that snowball came in at the perfect last second there. A bit of a misuse on the ice golem, probably trying to tank for the Musketeer, but he just follows it up with the balloon, now creating more pressure. And you know, Rich, we're not even talking about the minor damage that's just ticking away at that tower.
Oh, wow, that miner is totally untouched. That miner's gonna be it.
That's it.
There you go, Benny
Oh my gosh.
Wow, 2 in a row for Benny, and you can see the sigh of relief. He is 1 game away from a reverse sweep, and a big game it's gonna be, because up next, he has Javi 14.
Persistence, 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 Rich. That was an incredible showing from Benny, who never giving up, always willing to switch lanes, and honestly, Mikel just couldn't keep up.
And talking about a guy who never gives up, we just saw that from Benny, but look who he's up against. Javi 14, who not quite single-handedly, but nearly broke his own back, getting his squad all the way to the finals of CRL World Finals against Nova last year, and coming so close to the gold. You know he is not nervous in a situation like this.
Oh, he is hungry. He is thirsty for blood. I think we all felt for Javi 14 on that stage. You saw how long he stood up there after he lost that set, losing World Finals. But today, he's back and he's ready to go.
Benny with the Dark Prince in the back, which again, really fits into so many different decks right now. We'll see how he develops this as we go forward. Lumberjack nicely cleaned up there as well with the Ice Whiz.
Yeah, you see that Lumberjack had to come down, or else that Dark Prince would have connected with the Ice Whiz and the tower. Ooh, and I don't know how how I would feel if I was Benny, who's sending that Lumberjack right into that P.E.K.K.A.
P.E.K.K.A. picks it up nicely and also placed just well enough to keep that Baby Dragon from getting on tower as well.
And it looks like Benny, who is running the very, very popular Golem deck right now, the #1 Golem deck in the world, with the Dark Prince coming in for the regular Prince. The E-Drag is still in there. Golem comes down knowing that P.E.K.K.A. is out of cycle.
Really exciting Golem play there. Not something you see often in the first couple of minutes, but here we go. Like you said, P.E.K.K.A. out of cycle, playing Ice Whiz way in the back, but this is going to be a ton of damage, even with that NATO.
I don't know if I would have used that NATO. Okay, that's what it is. I was like, the NATO might have been a bit of an overcommit on defense, but really nice play from Javi 14. P.E.K.K.A. back on the field. E-Dragon doing a lot of damage on that tower.
And you can see the E-Drag with that triple hit there, able to take advantage even with that NATO, even the P.E.K.K.A. down, able to go boom, 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 do the damage, and now a nice early lead here for Benny.
Yep, and that was a very, very impressive cleanup defense by Javi. I thought that was going to be tower down.
And we'll see how Benny chooses to play this matchup from here on forward, because he does have the ability to play that Golem once we get in the double elixir time here, and then create some frustrating opposite lane pressure, especially with that Dark Prince.
Yeah, and Javi 14, I'm very curious to see what his plan is, how he's going to break through with these Golem pushes coming in. Because the combination of this deck makes the P.E.K.K.A., the P.E.K.K.A. matchup not as intimidating as before.
And that's a beautiful NATO moving the E-Drag to the other side. And what a great tornado back there to put all those defensive troops in E-Drag range.
Yeah, re-aggroing the E-Drag to support the Golem push. Really, really heads up play by both these guys. You see the Dark Prince coming down to protect the Baby Dragon from the Mega Minion, and now forced to use the P.E.K.K.A. out of cycle for the Golem is Javi 14.
Moving into sudden death overtime, and there's the balloon. Will Lumberjack come down? Yes, it does. This is a very dangerous push in the right-hand lane. Picks it up with Lumberjack. He does have Tornado. Is it in cycle? No, it's not.
Oh my God.
One shot down. NATOing. Oh, wait, there you go. Waiting to NATO to King Tower. Very, very brave play here by Benny in this situation.
Rich, the mechanics of this game are insane.
Wow, unbelievable. Two of the best Spaniards playing today, going head-to-head. Now, we do have the King Tower activation. Benny What is he going to do about this balloon? I don't know if he has enough to stop it, and there you go. Just last-second tornado. He is playing so well in this King of the Hill set.
I'm not sure if Benny who was trying to aggro the P.E.K.K.A or if he was thinking that a Lumberjack was going to come down. He was trying to meet it with his own Lumberjack, but a very, very interesting high Lumberjack to defend against the balloon.
Wow, this is the pace has been fast and furious for two relatively slow decks. I mean, this is with the P.E.K.K.A in there, it's kind of slow for a balloon deck, although I'm wondering if this has any relationship to the Anaban deck that has the freeze in there as well, so we'll see.
Mega Minion stops the balloon in its tracks. NATO comes in to pull it back after being raged up. P.E.K.K.A is still relatively healthy, goes down. And the zap comes down on that Mega Minion. Kind of a surprising zap, but I guess Benny who would have the option to do counter lane pressure.
Well, also that Mega Minion raged up, could have gotten a couple of nasty shots. It already got one big one there. So here we are, another balloon push, and that balloon raged up, but nice NATO, and you see, there we go, it is the freeze version, absolutely.
And that is going to be a hit in, and now Benny who is feeling the heat, Rich.
Javi's in a good spot, although that P.E.K.K.A, I don't know if he has anything. This Lumberjack, okay, there you go. Nice Ice Whiz. It's going to die, but it did at least get the Lumberjack away from tower. Still down at 970 here, so Javi 14, he isn't out of the woods yet. He's only ahead by a little bit and doesn't have a big direct damage spell.
The Lumberjack's on the tower. Oh, wow. Wow. And with the death damage,
and the freeze, that is it. Javi 14 closes it out for Fnatic. Going with that beautiful, just save the freeze until so late in the match. And look, Faye came out and went 4 games in a row, paired, of course, with his teammate Javi 14 in 2v2. They lost a couple, and it looked like Benny who might get the reverse sweep, but Javi came in huge at the end and gave Fnatic a win in their opening match of CRL West.
I mean, we're talking about counter lane pressure. That Lumberjack balloon push was so menacing, and finally he saves that freeze for so long. What an impressive play of patience. Javi 14 showing us why he is one of the best in the world. What a day for Fnatic. What a day for Javi 14.
Let's go down to Rachel, who's standing by with our winners.
Hi guys, I'm down here with Faye and Javi, and I've got a question for both of them. Faye, you played everyone on Team Queso, some of them even twice. Who was the toughest opponent on that team?
I think the toughest opponent on that team was Benihu because last game he played very well. I thought I could win that matchup. I was very close to win it, but he played so well and he won.
Can you tell me exactly what interaction made you lose it there?
Maybe a clone, no, a baby dragon that he lightning, and he hit the baby dragon too, 2 baby dragons in 1 flying machine. And at that point, I knew that that baby dragon was bad.
Indeed, but you guys pulled through in the end. Javi, you cleaned it up. I want to know, at what moment were you certain that you won that last match?
In the last movement, he used Mega Minion, and now he only have Hydra and Baby Dragon, and I did Lumberjack Balloon, and he did a faster Nado, I think, and I only need to do freeze.
Very smart, a great counter that deck, and congratulations to both of you for taking home the win today. Now let's give it back to the casters to break it down.
Thanks a lot, Rachel. A little extra inside information from our victors, Javi and Faye.
Yeah, Faye had some words of wisdom. That baby dragon was bad. Let's put it on a shirt and sell it. I love it. Javi, 14, and Faye came out today doing some major work for Fnatic. And Rich, they swept Queso.
Yeah, and that's unbelievable. A thing we've almost never said on CRL. Queso goes down, and especially 2v2, Kuchiku and Benihu having trouble in that opening set. A big shocker here, and that had a big result. That ended up putting them in a bad position, swept, and look, the Baby Dragon might have been bad, but the result was not. And we had a great day of games today, opening up with the LATAM rivalry, Cream Esports taking out the Brazilians 2-1.
Yes, and then Dignitas, the Cinderella story, comes out, edging out Tribe Gaming, and of course, lastly, Fnatic sweeping Queso 2-0.
So unbelievably close to a straight 5-game sweep as well. And again, the whole day was crazy. Cream and Pain just went back and forth, and Dignitas kind of shocking the world here. And while it might be very, very early in our season, we do have our first standings, and look at that. 1, 2, and 3. Fnatic Dignitas, and Cream Esports.
Yeah, I love it. SK and Complexity just dying to get on the battlefield, but those are our top 3 here at CRL West.
And we have so much more to be played. This is just day 1. I can't believe how amazing it's been so far. And of course, you can go back and catch this all the time Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday here at CRL West. Tune in this weekend. Come back on Saturday. Join us for some fantastic action. Team Liquid, SK Gaming, Complexity, so many great players yet to be seen. I'm Rich Slayton. That's Andrew Guy. We are so excited to be back here with you, and we will see you all on Saturday.
Bye.